That's horrible here. I've got a lot of queer friends. And, I've got a fair number of trans friends. And, it's a rough life. My God. Because it's been turned into such a political issue in a lot of the Western world. Especially Britain and, I guess, in the US for sure. God, they act like they're fucking... I don't know. It's just another case of, like, finding a small group that you can put blame on for things. Where have we seen that before? In order to justify your political stuff. It's gross. Maybe she changes her sex. Yeah, maybe. Remember when Twitter didn't exist? I've never engaged with Twitter. I think I still have a Hammurabae Twitter account. I never use it. I just don't like Twitter very much. Didn't think that she said was all that bad unless I read the thing wrong. I mean, she completely refuses. Oh, dude, she said a lot of bad stuff, Zodi. It's all just attention mongering. It's not good. You know, they're trying to make my insurance right to take my insurance right to play for my healthcare. Yeah, didn't they already do it in Florida, Schlob? I know there's a couple states at least who are trying to yeah, just completely outlaw that kind of stuff. It's kind of crazy though. There is a host, yes. Why can't people just allow us to live how they want? Because it's not convenient politically. I think most people who nowadays have been radicalized against a lot of belief, especially like who don't understand like trans issues especially, I don't think they innately are at fault. I mean, bigotry is always a choice to a degree, right? But like, you got to remember that the people who push these sorts of issues are so good with propaganda that they can convince very uneducated people to believe in extreme things very easily, right? For anyone who gets a proper explanation of like the differences between sex and gender, generally what the gender construct is, and like what trans people mostly want. Because, you know, most people who you talk to are anti this stuff. They'll just give you the 10 points of propaganda they've heard from their favorite news media choice, right? Which is a bunch of bullshit. And they'll talk about extreme examples, and they'll talk about predatory pedophilic behavior and things, which is just absurd. But if you have a real conversation about them and try and tell them what this stuff really is about, a lot of them really will like have at least a moment, well, they'll second think it, you know, because it's not that absurd. I don't know. I blame a lot of it on propaganda. There's very few people who actually understand all of these sorts of issues and are still extreme. I mean, besides, there are groups who just love to hate, of course. Oh man, we hit a fun topic before Vicky 3 today, didn't we? Oh boy. I'm not sure what Hoi 4 makes communists. I can see the arguments for fascist, though, being you get all the benefits of fascism while the bad parts. But as the USSR shows the purges, and the purges can hurt a little bit. And that was only a recent thing added in the No Step Back DLC. Communism is still a dramatically better ideology in Hoi 4 because you can get your economy cycle way more advanced, way quicker, which teaches kids that communism is a more viable economic philosophy than things like democracy, or even monarchism, ironically. I looked for it during the whole boycott the Hogwarts game thing and couldn't find it. It's out there, man. I'd go for it. Boycotting the Hogwarts game is a complicated one. On the one hand, I understand it. I've chosen not to play Hogwarts Legacy despite it being good. Brian cannot play this game. I chose not to play it because I also don't want to support anything related to J.K. Rowling, but I also don't agree with people mandating that you shouldn't play it. Like, I know a lot of streamers, didn't Tommy K just get into some drama about this? I think I read that, right? That like people were angry. Didn't he play it or something? I didn't even follow that shit, but I don't agree with people like getting angry at streamers for playing Hogwarts Legacy. I think it's a choice whether you play it or not. It's a great game. You know, Harry Potter universe is amazing. I mean, I still love it, even though J.K. Rowling is disgusting, right? So I don't think people should like be forced not to play it by peer pressure, which there's been a lot of. But personally, I choose not to play it because I would feel gross playing it. But that's my own just perception of J.K. Rowling. I can't get over, you know. Nasty, man. Got the whole video saved on it. Gotcha. More fun than Vicky 3? Listen, you can be a hater Lambert, but when you get in one of these RP games and it actually goes well, and you get to RP out Victorian era politics, you're gonna be eating those goddamn words. Just saying. Just saying. It's not as Semitic as shit? Yes. The house elves are a terrifying concept if you really look into what it is. Even putting aside trash politics, the game itself is just nasty anti-Semitic garbage. I didn't know anything about that. What did they do in it? With like the elves, you mean? The house elves? You gotta follow Quentin Camista. Yo, what's up, John? Something to get off work on a Sunday so I can enjoy the Vic games again. Hell yeah, man. I've been playing Alaska. The goblins. Yeah. Yeah. That too. I remember even watching the first Harry Potter movie when I was like fucking 6. And I remember seeing the goblins and just feeling like something was off. Not in the, oh, they're monsters kind of way. It just felt weird. Like, I remember that as a kid, feeling that when I watched it at my buddy's house. Goblins are the villains. Yeah. You know, if it was a critique of, like, bourgeoisie ownership of, like, currency and banks, I'd be fine, but that's not what it is, so. Yeah. What's up, 100 Pros? How's it going, man? Who has a shofar in the game? Is it really? IMC, I agree. People can get a little too focused on certain parts of games, but you also got to remember games allow a representation of things that can give you, like, not active beliefs. Like, if you have something that's negatively portrayed enough in media and games often enough, you will naturally start to associate negative things with it, right? Like, a great example is how, like, LGBTQ people have been portrayed as annoying or mean or even like villainous in media for like a lot of, especially the 20th history, and how a lot of people said that, you know, oh, it's no big deal. Well, it is, because you start to associate those things, right? There's a point where nitpicking becomes too extreme, and then there's a point where you ignore the fact that you're just automatically going to relate negative features to groups that don't deserve it, and that's where there's a problem. We're playing the game, it looks like now, though, so we can jump off of politics. Hopefully. We're having loading problems here. You're good. I'm glad to hear that. I only watched the first Harry Potter movie when I was a kid. I didn't care for it. Oh, I love the Harry Potter movies, man. They were very good. But oh my gosh, are we going? Are we going? Why did we go to speed 3 off the bat? All right, let's see if there's a Congress. There is a Council of Europe. I will attend that, but I actually like to speak to some other people first. Hello there. Oh. Got checked out of a VC. One moment. I just jumped in Brunei's VC. Where did he go? Bear with me. Where the fuck is Brunei? He must have gone to the Congress. Well, we can do this instead. Hello there.
Greetings. Who am I speaking to?
I am an ambassador sent from the court of King Carlos of Spain at the bequest of, I believe, the Emperor, or at least the foreign minister, to speak with his Imperial Highness.
Welcome, Ambassador. My name is Yuan Guang. We have spoken through our correspondence of letters. I am Master of Foreign Relations for the Divine Emperor of Great Qing, and I'll be happy to host you and
Wonderful.
speak to you.
I thank you for hosting me in your court here. It's a lovely country and a beautiful city. We have much to discuss.
Indeed, we do. Starting with which, if you would like to proceed, it's quite interesting because I've had correspondence with both.
Excuse me. Yeah,
This is a private meeting at the moment.
sorry, I'll leave them.
Oh wait, that's Cuba. Never mind. You can be in here if you'd like, but I am doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was just.
I
trying
thought
to
you
talk
were
to
some random
about
power.
the
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Stuff you sent me.
I apologize about that,
Sorry.
Minister. What were you saying?
Okay. Yeah, I would like to speak to you on matters. Obviously about the island of Borneo and the free nation of Brunei, and what your proposals are for the future of that island nation.
Of course. My communications were fully received, I hope, and you are aware of our outlook generally on this issue.
Yeah, it's my understanding through our correspondence that you want to see Brunei or Borneo as a free nation, but as part of the Spanish market.
We're seeking a protectorate over Brunei. To just reassess the situation with you, we are approached by members of the officer corps in Brunei in order to facilitate an intervention, given the Dutch are in the process of fully annexing the entire region, which we, much like yourself, I'm sure, do not view as safe or viable. Spain has large interests in Asia, which will only grow larger as King Carlist does see it as principal interest to the rebuilding of Spain in the post-war era. So what we have on our agenda is more or less the intervention. I apologize, my king has already sent a letter to the Dutch where we have gained their agreement to pull out of the Brunei situation and to end their war. And to allow Spain to be able to intercede and build up the state of Brunei in the region. As I believe a letter was sent to your court, King Carlos wishes to continue the Council of the Indies system, which cedes broad autonomy to states within the Spanish sphere, market, and system. If you know anything of our history, you know well that Spain tends to look primarily after our own interests at home, and as long as the tithes are paid and the ships of trade go to our homeland, there's very little else we're interested in. We're here to negotiate primarily with you on this issue, but on a broader one, which is that Spain is interested in a more direct cooperation with the Qing's government. Though my king does feel strongly that your lack of Christian faith is obviously a major issue. It's also one that you cannot change yourself. His words, not mine. But we're seeking to be able to come to some sort of an agreement. Many European countries are looking at Asia with a close interest. And my king wishes to suggest to you that should we cooperate well in the region, you would have a partner more than a aggressive European nation seeking influence within your own country. Did I get booted out of VC again? I got it. What the fuck? I got kicked out of VC. I think Dustin's bot is not working right now.
My channel just got closed for some reason. I don't know why.
I got a DM Dustin. My God.
Do you want to go in GC, one of the GC channels?
No. Actually, yeah, we should probably do it.
Okay.
Okay, we'll hop up to a... Let me figure out how we're going to do this.
Okay. As I was saying, we are not ignorant to the matters of European nations having influence and wanting more influence in Asia. The Emperor, in his infinite wisdom, has seen this as an inevitability. So what we are looking for, quite frankly, is one of such as in a European power that we can work with, and that is reasonable, and is not well, quite frankly, just batshit crazy. So
that's a high ask, I'm afraid, in Europe, but
I understand that, but we are the first with influence in Asia to approach us in a reasonable matter and actually talk on subjects that we want to see a similar end. We want to see Brunei flourish and consolidate power within the island of Borneo. We by no means want them to be a subject beneath us, as we kind of see them not now. Although they are within our market in that sense, they are completely autonomous, and we support them in making their own decisions no matter what they are. So what I would put to you is, if you can convince them of your idea and your plan, you will have the full support of Brink. And
I will say on that issue, it is my understanding from the king that it's more of a complicated issue in that, as I believe that those seeking Spanish influence are a part but not the primary members of the ruling establishment in Brunei at this moment, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
There is broad support from them, and we have already interceded and frankly spent a lot of diplomatic capital on interceding with the Dutch at this point, and it's a bit of a sunk investment cost at this point. So we do view it as reasonable to suggest that we would come out of this with a more firm tie to Brunei that they could not throw away at a whim.
And so, what is your final proposal on the matter?
We're seeking a protectorate over Brunei. We would negotiate with the Dutch in order to secure the remaining independent tribes underneath the Brunei government, and we would continue the the Council of Indies system with Brunei, in that they'd be admitted to it, have some jurisdiction discussion over colonial matters, but in reality, obviously, only be required to be within the market and pay the yearly sum to Spain. We would see all domestic and Asian matters to them. We, of course, would like the government there to be reasonable about the building of churches if missionaries wish to, in order to spread the word, but it would not be forced down the throats of the people there.
That's fine. Brunei is obviously an Islamic state, so we do actually care little for what their religious tides
good to
send,
hear.
as long as they don't affect ours. So I suppose what you're proposing is acceptable, as long as it validates the essence of what you are saying with their autonomy, if you understand. We have no problem with Spain having tributes. We have many ourselves, and yeah, we would have no problem with that. But we would prefer it in the public eye to be seen as a choice that Brunei itself has made. It could try and work towards that end.
The next talk we're about to have with them is to knock out the details, but I want to make it very clear to you, for the sake of honesty and diplomacy and forging a proper relationship here, that my king has made it quite clear that there's really no situation here where more a direct link is not given with Brunei. Again, we're not seeking direct control. Spain has no history of doing this outside of Europe, but we're not going to walk away given what we've already sunk into this situation empty-handed. I'm sure you can understand that.
Absolutely. Then we find your proposal acceptable, and you will see no ill will towards the Kingdom of Spain for pursuing this goal. It is the same goal and same means to an end that we were pursuing ourselves in supporting Brunei, but we believe at this time, potentially with more technological advances, the Spanish Kingdom may have a better chance of doing so.
I'm glad we see eye to eye on this then. Is there anything else before I go? I would like to speak, my king would like to speak more in depth with you about potentially trade and economic ties in the future, but until we deal with the Brunei situation, I think perhaps that would be better.
Yep, I do actually have a proposal to put forward to you in case you wanted to have a think about it.
Of course.
As I'm sure you're aware, Portugal have been illegally holding a treaty port on the mainland of China called
Macau, yes.
Macau, in the region of Guangdong. We would like to see in the midterm this treaty port disappear from our shores, but for the interests of economic ties, we would be interested in potentially seeing the Spanish move into that port.
The song of Macau, we do have a conversation we'll do with the Portuguese where we have discussed cooperation. Perhaps a joint meeting with the three of us would be best then, to discuss this. I don't know how they would take it, but we're not explicitly hostile. My king has little respect for the queen there, I will be frank with you, but he's a practical, ambitious man who sees the interests of Spain above. Is willing to tolerate a woman in control.
Of course. Well, we'll just leave that on the table for you. If you did want to perhaps acquire that of the Portuguese, you would have the full support of the emperor in that matter.
That's a talk we're very much interested in. Yeah, we will absolutely have that discussion with them. I will go speak with, take a ship to Brunei to speak with them and send my correspondence to the king, and hopefully we can get back to you on both those matters within a few years' time. A year, hopefully.
Understood. I thank you for your very productive discussions.
And you as well.
That our friendship goes.
I also would like to make something very clear before I leave, Minister. I hope that we can have a more direct correspondence between me, the ambassador to many countries in Asia, and you. My king is a very religious man, and my country a very religious one. I'm more practical. I was, frankly, I supported the liberals, though that's been forgiven by the king. May God bless him.
I'm quite surprised
I'm just suggesting.
Hold off it.
I am a religious man, though I did want more reform. My point being, I would suggest you have a correspondence with me rather than the king when opportunity arrives, as I think I can be a good intermediary between translating your once-said language to one the king and his values may more be willing to hear, if you understand.
I think that's a good idea with such different cultural and language differences.
Certainly.
I think me and you having a good connection would be good. Me personally, I've studied in several universities around the world, including Cambridge and London. I've also studied in Cairo. I've studied in New York. So he's put me in this position because I'm a well-educated man towards Europeans and other nations.
Well,
So,
then
yeah,
I
I'm
think
sure
we
Col-
understand each other. In that case, it's been a pleasure meeting you, Minister, and I hope we will have more talks in the future.
You too. I wish you well on your journey back, and take care.
Thank you.
Can I talk to you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Greetings.
Am I talking to the ambassador, or
You'll be
am
talking
I...
to the king of... Did you come to
To the
Madrid?
king? Great. Yes, I'll be
Okay.
coming to Madrid.
Then
because
you'll be
I
talking to
reply-
Carlos.
What did you say? Sorry.
You'll be talking with Carlos then.
Yes, Carlos. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe you've seen my response, my letter to you, King Carlos, and I graciously and I humbly accepted your
I
your
am
letter, your
very
invitation.
relieved to see you having come to Spain to speak with me here in Madrid. The civil war has been disastrous, but I am seeking to rapidly rebuild, and it's a good sign, Governor, to see you having come to Spain just in time for the coronation.
Of course, I could. How could I not? I'm loyal to my king, so and you do a lot for Cuba. But I would like to discuss more about that. Cuba is having a really bad situation with trying to build up. We have just finished building construction sectors after 4 years, and we are only now working on our government administration and our in iron mines and our coal mines, and mainly our supplies for to Spain, which are very few. We even have a wood issue. We don't have enough wood. We're also working on that, but we'd like to ask the King Carlos, for
You are in need of raw resources then, much
Yes.
like in the market. Okay, in that case,
we are in need of all of that. Yes,
I would-
and we have plenty of places where we can build our mines, get our logging camp started, but we just do not have the resources. The men.
we can speak on that
yes.
if you would allow me to suggest a solution. I have been sending correspondence to Emperor Pedro de Braganza of Brazil to seek economic ties with him. They have an abundance of wood and iron, but primarily wood that they have not to begin exporting in mass. I was about to send a foreign ambassador to Rio to speak with him. Perhaps you would like to accompany him to help negotiate a wood treaty with the Brazilians to ensure that we can both begin to properly build up our countries. We have the same issue here in Spain.
Of course, yes. Of course.
Good.
I'll accompany you, and we can talk about that.
I do need to speak with Brunei. Oh fuck, there's so much to do at the start of the game. Is he in VCs? He is not, so we can go do that right now. All right, hop down to
Alright.
Brazil's VC.
Right.
Greetings, Your Highness.
Greetings.
I am a ambassador of King Carlos alongside the governor of Cuba, who has come here alongside myself at the bequest of the king to speak with you about what he has written to you about previously. I got kicked out of VC again. God damn it. Hold on. I think Brazil did too. Maybe?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Apologies.
Kick me out. Yes.
I'm
Yes,
not entirely sure what happened there.
I'm not sure either. So, did you hear everything I said?
I heard that you were ambassadors.
Fuck, okay.
Of a
I'm
sort.
here with the governor of Cuba. We're here to speak about what
The king.
the king sent you a letter about.
Ah, well, certainly. Yes.
It is the hope of my king that we can reach an economic cooperative deal here today. As I'm sure you are aware, Spain and her colonies, such as Cuba, is very much in need of wood, which your country has an abundance of. There are many countries we could seek out, including that of Russia, who does share our further of faith, but we come to you primarily due to our history and our hope to I suppose, present a more cooperative face to the Americas, given that we no longer have any reign or influence here besides Cuba after the British's actions.
Well, we certainly welcome this move. We're glad to see more cooperative diplomacy with European powers, as I'm sure you're aware, there has
I'm sure
been quite a
Americans.
worry over the continent um, about European aggression and intervention within our.
I think we got kicked out of VCs again. Out of RP, let's hop up to, 'cause this is really bad. Let's hop up to, like, GC3.
Yeah.
You want to do
it'd
that?
be nice.
Okay, yeah.
So what did you catch out of what I was saying then?
Almost nothing.
Okay. Well, we welcome this cooperative front from any European power. As I'm sure you have been aware, the continent has been rather worried about European aggression and intervention in our territories, and so we're happy to see any European power put forward a cooperative diplomatic front.
Absolutely. Spain, I wish to communicate from my king that Spain is seeking a reconciliation with its former colonies and other nations of the Americas. We're looking for primarily economic friendship now rather than any colonial rule, as the interests in that regard have shifted dramatically to Asia. So there's no need to worry about Spain seeking some manner of reconquest or anything like that.
Well, we're very glad to hear it. We can address this to the other American powers as well, to make it clear what your your diplomatic ideas are on the front, so people will be a bit more open to it as well. We would gladly like to work towards economic cooperation with trade.
As would we.
Yes,
As in the letter that was sent by my king, the pinnacle of which is wood. Many nations in Europe and beyond are struggling to meet construction demands as industrialization is taking its full measure. And we were wishing to talk to you about establishing a more in-depth trade treaty regarding that. And I have recently, my king has opened a trade route with your country, but we would like to see that grow to a larger degree, primarily with wood, as both Spain proper and our friends here in Cuba also are struggling with this problem.
Oh, certainly. Well, we're currently on the verge of expanding our market of wood quite significantly. We are going to increase deforestation matters to gather more wood in a more sustainable situation, however, not just wipe out the forests entirely. Of course, that would
Well,
not
you
be
have so
good
many of
long
them.
term.
I mean, caution is rather
certainly.
odd in a nation made up of so many trees.
Certainly. Well, that I'm sure you will be happy to know that that is our future goal. So wood will definitely be on the table for trade.
Wonderful. In that case, are you at the point that you would wish to build a trade agreement with one another? As we to outline what Spain will be attempting to export to many countries is primarily textiles, glass, and luxury clothing, of which we'd be happy to provide your country. We are in the process of building trade agreements with many countries, and obviously those who we work with first will get the lion's share of such things. So we're interested in working out a deal with your country, as I think both would be beneficial economically to both of us.
Well, that would be certainly beneficial to us, as we are lacking in glass currently on our market. So it would definitely be beneficial on our end as well.
Good. That is wonderful to hear. In that case, I do have my king's permission to formally request a trade agreement, as long as you are willing to obviously begin to provide more wood to Spain, and likewise we would uphold ours and prioritize luxury clothing and textiles and glass to you.
Well, certainly. We can agree to those matters currently. as it stands. We can
It's
agree
good to hear.
that.
I've been speaking quite a lot. I would obviously like to give my counterpart from Cuba the chance to speak here if he would wish.
Of course. I have a big wood problem, and as you may have heard, we need a lot of wood in our country to build up and make our country more industrialized. And I do believe that with our cooperation in this trade, this new trade route, we can help each other forth into industrializing, and we can supply you with things that you may not have, and you with wood. You can supply us with wood, and we can supply you with things in return that we make out of wood. And I do think that would benefit our countries and our people a lot. And I hope to have this done as soon as possible.
Well, we're glad to hear it, and we agree. We share your sentiments in this
That's
matter.
wonderful.
Good. In that case, I think we can get to signing documents then and setting up routes.
Certainly.
It's good to hear. I still do. I still do have to meet my own country's demand, but as soon as that's done, I'll start sending you luxury clothing. So just heads up. I've sent you textiles,
Certainly.
though. All right,
Well,
wonderful.
it
Well,
will,
thank you for your time,
Well,
Emperor.
Good day.
thank you as well. I will head back to Rio now, so I can prepare for the upcoming South American Congress.
Very well. We wish you the best.
Thank you. We wish you much prosperity in the future.
Just responding to that. Well, Governor, before I return home to Spain, I'm hoping that will put a bit of a plug in our wood problems here in the Spanish market. Anything else I can relate to the king before I do leave?
Well, we wish the king the best, and we hope to have more wood, of course, what we've just arranged.
Of course.
Because I have a big wood problem here, so I'm myself. I'm right now. You should know that I'm working on logging camps and iron mines to supply our own market, and I hope that we can soon make our country stronger and supply all the necessary needs. And
We hope so as well.
build forth. Of course. All right. I hope you a safe journey back. I wish you a safe journey back. And
You as well. We will speak again soon.
Great. Yes, of course. Okay. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Alrighty. Good. We actually have a trade agreement with Brazil. That's one of the biggest things I wanted to do at the start. So we did attend the Congress of Europe. I just got told by France that apparently they all decided who got what on the coast of Africa when we weren't there, which I chose not to be there, so that's rough. What I am gonna claim the coastline of is Fang all the way up to Oyo. I'm planning to do some stuff in Sokoto later, and then Madagascar, which is the next war we're gonna do. That's what we're prepping for right now while we're rebuilding. As soon as all of our states are cored, which we're waiting for right now, we're gonna be launching an invasion of Madagascar. Primarily, this is so we actually have a staging point to get to Asia, given we're shifting completely to focusing on the Asian region. Colonially and in all things, we need a place to get there from, and that's gonna be Madagascar. Is Brunei still around? I've been waiting to see if he's around.
Hello, sir.
Hello there.
Hello, this is the private secretary of King Consort Ferdinand of Habsburg, King Consort of Portugal.
Ah,
We exchanged some letters, and I was sent by His Majesty to see if we can come to a conclusion concerning those letters exchanged between our kings.
of course. We are very interested in discussing this. As I sent to your queen in the letters, I do want to make it very clear that any relationship we would have would be primarily a colonial one, as the politics of your country are not one I have much respect for, and I think it is likewise the same for mine. But given our proximity to one another and our history, I think it is more worthwhile if we settle aside our internal politics and cooperate on colonial issues.
True. As our kings exchange in their letters, your laws are your laws and our laws are our laws. So we'd have absolute no interest in interfering in our internal matters, and we do agree with you. We are neighbors. We've been neighbors for all of our history, and I do agree that we should have a friendly relationship.
Good. That is very good to hear then. I think the next talk to be had is the colonial one. In your
Yes.
letter, we are aware of what your interests are in. You obviously have extensive colonies. Ours are very minor compared to when they were after the British taking much of our lands in the Americas, which is why we are now looking to Asia and those regions. So I think a talk specifically on how we can support another would be warranted.
Yes.
That's good to hear.
Our main purpose concerning colonial expansion is in Africa. As we've made publicly known, we consider Mozambique to be our crown jewel of our empire since we lost Brazil after Brazil got independent. So Portuguese imperial goals is to have Mozambique has the most important colonial possession of the Portuguese Empire. Though we would like to expand as well in Asia, it's a very competitive region in the world with a lot of European powers trying to have more land in those regions. So it's harder than in Africa since we have a very strong foothold in Africa.
Yes. And in Asia, we have a lot of interest there. That will be my primary interest going forward. There's a number of things kind of in play there. We'd be much more interested in supporting broader expansion for Portugal and Africa, especially in the southern region. To put it frankly to you, the regions in Africa I do wish to contend and be involved in is in Madagascar in order to have ports by which to trade and get to Asia much easier, and then in the Nigerian Delta region, as primarily the heathens' actions there in conquest is an affront to our Christian faith. So those are the two regions that I primarily have interest in.
And then we are not in conflict in Africa. Has the King Consort said to you, our King Consort, though our Queen is a liberal one, our King Consort, he's an Habsburg, so he's a more conservative one. So presently, Portuguese politics, they are divided.
I am very aware of things. I've done much research about it, and it's the one reason I am even willing to reach out to your country, is I know there is a voice of a reasonable nature in your country.
True. And being a practical man, the King Consort brought the attention to you that we do have an alliance with Austria, as you do. I think you are to marry one of the Austrians.
I have already married her. My wife is a Habsburg as well. We were married the last summer. Oh, thank you. Yes. A good woman. She's God-fearing, which is all one can ask for.
Yeah, so we are related. So our King Consort is related to your wife. He's a nephew of the Emperor, of the Austrian Emperor. So in some way, the Portuguese crown is connected to the Spanish one.
Of course.
Now, like the King Consort mentioned, we do have an alliance with the Austrians. It's an alliance that we do want to keep. Our main alliance, as you know, is with the United Kingdom, and we also want to keep that alliance. But as the King Consort said in his letter, any joint action made by our two nations, by law, the United Kingdom has to be neutral. So if there is any joint action between the both of us, if we do a joint action in Asia, we count with British neutrality if we go and expand in that region.
You would have it or would not have neutrality?
The British are forced to be neutral if we go together in the region.
That is rather interesting, and just bring into sight an objective that we were very interested in. It was one of my plans in Asia to secure a Spanish colony in the regions of Aka and Siak, which obviously the Dutch do contend at this moment. But given that Asia is the only place we have any real place left to expand in, it was something I was seeking, but I had no real intention of how that might be done without gaining a British response.
We do face the same enemy, which is the Dutch in Asia. As you know, the Dutch, they stole much of the Portuguese Empire in the 17th century, so we would like to have some of it back.
Perhaps,
if there is a joint venture between our nations, technically the British, they will have to stay neutral because we are allied, and the Windsor Treaty specifically says that we are not going against each other.
Perhaps a good start in Asia would be a joint war in the northern Indonesian archipelago for the regions of Aceh, Siak, and then the islands there. A reasonable splitting, whereby we can both take some of the region.
Presently, there's a conflict in Siak, I believe.
There
Yes,
is.
there is.
The Dutch are going right in.
Yes.
Perhaps a joint war over Aceh right now would be a good idea then.
Do we have the capacity to do it?
We are prepared at this time. I am running a slight deficit, but if we make the war a quick one, I wish to wait until the remaining states have become less tumultuous after the civil war, but I can deal with a bit of a deficit here to launch this war.
Yes, we can join the war.
All right, I'll write out a diplo play. Let's do it. Alrighty. In order to do that, I can just invite you to the play. You have a diplomatic interest in there, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So Conquer State Aceh, they're called their allies in, and then I'll claim one of those as well. I'll do it like that.
So we join the side of Siak.
Oh wait, you mean you want to go into a war against the Dutch? I just started a play for Aceh because aren't they allied to Siak? Wouldn't they call them in? No, they're not.
Oh, yes, I saw
Are
it,
they?
yes. Oh, yeah.
No, they're not actually allied to them. How did they get into the war with Siak then?
So,
No, it's just that the war is happening in the region. I see.
yeah.
How about we call it a joint war? The Spaniards invade Aceh, and then you could invade Bukhara. Do you see where that is?
No, I don't.
Just to the south of Aceh, in the northern peninsula there, or Barus is what it would have to be. Those remaining islands, do you see them?
Oh, the Bukhara?
Yeah, so it'd be Barus, and then if you take that, you could take Bukhara behind it as well.
Okay. Bukhara, they are having a civil war, I think.
They are, but is Barus having one? They are not.
They are not. They are. Okay, so I do.
Hold on, I just
do
got
I make...
Sokoto Senate also made it to Dahomey, demanding that they join them in the Sokoto versus Ashanti war. They refused inside of Ashanti. What do we do? We would just asked. So,
Do I do a separate depot play to conquer Barus?
one second, I just got asked to join a war against the Sokoto. We're not ready yet. Okay. Yes, just make a play against Barus. You take them, and then we'll take Aceh, and hopefully we can stop some of the Dutch's just rapid expansion in the region. We have negotiated with them. I did get them to stand down in Brunei. I've just attempted to make it very clear to them that given there's so many other powers that have interest in Asia at this time, they will not be able to simply waltz around and take anything that they please. So perhaps this war would be a good way to make that quite clear.
Let me join your war.
Okay.
So the British are not allowed to go, and
Okay,
let
and
me
then I
just do
can
the depot
join.
play.
Yep. You're already in a play, so I don't think it'll let you do another.
So let me start my play, and then I'll join.
Oh, okay, go for it.
I hope it doesn't manage.
The war system in this game is so...
And I will
difficult.
lose 50 points with our relations. So we do your war, and then we'll do my war.
Okay, we'll have to make it quick then. So let's make sure my naval force is all ready to go.
How much is our relations? Let me see. I mean, one of the things that our king's talk was about a trade agreement. Would you agree with that?
I am more hesitant on that account at the moment, as there are many countries that I am pursuing economic ties
Fair
with. But
enough.
given our land border, I would perhaps wait until we've done a few actions together in Asia. Would that be reasonable?
Yes.
Then we can agree. I also do hope to see a little bit more of the conservatism from the consort.
I can conquer bearers. I'll start the diplomacy. I have to write it first, isn't it?
Okay, go for it.
Hello, King
Hello.
Carlos. I'm here on behalf of the French king as an ambassador. I come to you to tell you that the war that you are planning on Aceh is problematic. We do support your claim on Brunei, but Aceh is not okay, and that goes beyond our approval of.
This is a joint war with the Portuguese, and as such, the British legally cannot have any form of intervention, as far as I'm aware.
Okay, further explanation, please.
Sorry?
What is the goal?
If perhaps Portuguese ambassador would like to explain it.
The Portuguese and the British, we do have the oldest alliance in Europe. We have the Windsor Treaty, and any war that we are involved in, the British, they cannot go against us.
So this is out of control of the British. They have no right to object.
They have
But
no
still,
legal
the
way to
matter-
intervene.
The matter still stands that the French crown does not support such foreign actions. Without
We spoke
consultation on us.
repeatedly with the French about these issues. I value our cooperation with the French greatly, but given that they would not provide any measure by which for us to rebuild any of our territories through direct discussions with the British, we must take it upon ourselves to build back our own power. We will not be a second-hand alliance to France. We need to rebuild our strength, and we are doing so. And I did make...
This is a one-time or two-time events.
I see. If that is your plan, then so be it. You know the agreements with the French. You can do what you want in the end. My king will make the final decision. I will bring him those news. And so be it.
I would like to make it clear. I do value the French greatly, but they are not our sole ally, and we will not be a second fiddle or a subject nation of the French, to make that very clear. But we do value them greatly.
Hello.
Hello there.
This is a delegation of the British Empire here to speak to Portugal mainly, because we have a slight conflict of interest here. You are somehow ending up in a war with my puppet. I thought it slightly breaks our defensive alliance if you're fighting me. Yeah. You're fighting East India Company, I believe.
This is a
No.
delegation of the Dutch.
Nope.
The
We are
Netherlands.
not fighting the
Baris is an independent tribe that is not under the jurisdiction of the Dutch East Indies at this time.
The East India Company has actually dedicated themselves to the Dutch East Indies, to the war breakout between Ak. If you declare war on Ak, you will also be declaring war on the East India Company, the Dutch East Indies, and the Netherlands.
You currently have no claims to this region, and you do not directly control it. So how are you justifying this?
The Dutch East Indies is currently making a claim on it.
You don't have one. We are already in a war. You have no real claim. Do you have any historical treaties to suggest this land is yours?
Okay, so out of RP, doesn't the Dutch East Indies have a claim in this region? I mean, they're currently fighting to get out there.
It was all independent at this time, so no. This was still when they were consolidating their modern borders. Like, the vanilla game shows all this as being theirs at the start, but it's not realistic. This is the point when the Dutch East Indies was just rapidly expanding and forming what will now become modern-day Indonesia, if I remember correctly from my research.
Okay. Okay, so back in RP, the Dutch East Indies does have a claim in this region, as established during an agreement between the East India Company and the Dutch East Indies, in splitting zones of influence in the Southeast Asia. This part of territory was considered to be part of the Dutch East Indies sphere of influence, and therefore.
So this is your internal discussions with a subject state of your country, correct?
between both of our subject countries, as well as between me and Great Britain.
It's confusing because there's two East Indias, right? So there's a British East India and there's a Dutch
Yeah.
East India. He's talking about talking to
And
British East
Sikh
India.
East India.
Portugal would never go. Portugal would never go against a subject of.
We had no interest
of
in
course.
conflict with either of your countries. It's just that legally this is an unclaimed region of Asia, and there is no, besides internal treaties between you and your subjects, as far as I'm aware, any actual international agreement for this or any international acknowledgement of these claims.
No, of course. I think
We're
at this
happy to
point,
have a
all
formal
this is-
discussion.
this
We're
is a
happy
formal
to
discussion.
Yes.
This is all this is, right? So there obviously was no, I don't think, any legal treaty signed between any
correct.
major parties. So it technically is a free state. However,
Mhm.
obviously, I think the Netherlands had an agenda to take this land, and by attempting to take it, there's a conflict of interest here. In order to prevent further conflicts, I think a discussion needs to be had.
We're
between both
very
parties.
open to a discussion here. Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so I'm really not the person to speak to about this. Let me go grab my governor, because I think he'll be the best person to speak to. I will let you know that he does speak and represent the British Empire as a whole. So Portugal, just be aware of that. That's all.
Can I speak to the British King after this? Or
Very well. Spain, if you can join my war.
Of course.
Are you seriously just stepping your way down the peninsula?
We discussed a joint action to secure the region, which we're happy to talk about. The primary issue, I think, for both of our countries here is we both have huge interest in Asia, and we felt that we needed to take action given we've seen nothing but rapid expansion from your vassal state. I'm hoping that his actions were not that of the Dutch government, and that perhaps maybe this is just a wayward governor who's just, conquering everything. But given that both Portugal and Spain are shifting their interest to Asia, we think it is quite unreasonable that the Dutch East Indies just eats all this territory all over.
Well, with all due respect, the expansion of the Dutch East Indies was what's the word I'm looking for? Authorized.
By your government, correct?
Yes, we did authorize.
That's
the expansion
very
of the Dutch East Indies.
unfortunate. Well, again, I think it's good that we have a talk here, because I think as far as me and Portugal are concerned, we don't find really this rapid expansion and subjugation of the entire Asian island archipelago by the Dutch and the Dutch East Indies to be acceptable, as there needs to be, I think, proper sharing of territory, since we all have interests.
Yes, and I'm sure that the Dutch, they do agree that they are not the only ones having historical claims in this region. I mean, the Portuguese and the Spanish, we have sailed these waters for centuries, so I don't see why the Dutch are so offended if we are conquering these territories.
Hold on, give me a minute. I gotta think for a minute. Hold on.
I mean, I understand you have internal issues and you promised that regions would go to the Dutch East Indies, but again, you have not spoken with the other European powers in Asia about this. I think it's unreasonable to just suggest that your internal negotiations have any relevance to other major countries, right? But
Well, I have. I've spoken to Great Britain over these issues. I've spoken to
that is one great power,
admittedly.
admittedly a great power, but you don't get to speak with one foreign country and suggest that that is universally accepted.
With all due respect, the areas we were talking about were were considered to be under Dutch spheres. So the island of Sumatra was under the Dutch sphere, and we've split Papua New Guinea.
Internally.
Yes, we decided to split Papua New Guinea.
But
Yeah,
you're talking like these are something that you didn't get to bring to, again, powers like Portugal and powers like Spain, and suggest that we just need to honor them. We don't, as major countries in our own right, and as powers that have been, as the Portuguese put, relevant in this region for hundreds of years.
Well, with all due respect, these claims were made when the Spanish Empire did not announce efforts to rebuild this empire. The Spanish Empire at the time was occurring I think you had a civil war, and was focusing on internal affairs.
Well over a
these-
year ago, yes.
Yes, but these were made like a decade ago.
With our country?
No, with the Great Britain, the relevant power within the region.
Correct, but we're not the United Kingdom, so that talk was never had with us, which is why
Well,
we
no, we
have
were not
no.
considered to be a relevant talking point at the time, considering you didn't invest several.
That is a
key-
conversation that you definitely need to have with your British counterparts then, but again, this has no bearing on my country or in these negotiations. I mean, obviously you have a plan, and you wish to ensue that plan happened, but again, it doesn't relate to my country and the Portuguese, so that's why, again, this talk is needed, and we really do need that British diplomat. I don't know where he's at.
It would have been nice to have this talk before we decided to start a war, though.
Well, you had already started wars in Asia, and we did the same. I mean, both of us have
Yes,
done the exact same
but
thing.
it was under everybody's understanding that when you start a war,
You
of
keep
your own
saying
lands-
everybody is understanding. You keep talking like your conversations with one or two powers is universal. They're not.
It is not under discussions.
No,
we've
it's
had.
not.
It was just simply our understanding as the lord of that particular island that it would be eventually be conquered the rest of that island. You are the one entered into the island and decided not to inform the people you would have a neighbor with.
Correct, but there are independent nations there that, again, although you may have had claims on, are still sovereign states. They're not European, and their opinions are not particularly relevant.
Yes.
But until you own that territory, it's not yours.
I would like to apologize if my protest was about the nations being invaded. It was not about, we don't truly care about these independent nations, obviously.
Nor
The
do we.
matter is, of course, of like, we thought we were going to be getting those ourselves.
Correct. I think
We
a
would've
lot
been like to
of
inform that
the
we were not
plans
gonna
of the
get
Dutch
those.
and the Dutch East Indies was done without obviously factoring in Portugal and Spain, and this is a good time for us to resolve these communication issues. But to make it very
Yes.
clear, the discussion needs to be done with the assumption that Portugal and the Spain are both in Asia, relevant players there, and European nations of a stature that needs to be respected. And I think
Yes.
we're all.
And
I
our
would hope
protest
we're
is
all
that you
happy
didn't
to.
respect us on this matter.
You didn't speak to us about expanding in Asia. I mean, I think it is unreasonable to suggest that this is a one-way thing, right?
Well, yes, but you are expanding near our borders.
You
We
are
are not
expanding near our
expanding your
borders. You
borders.
do not acknowledge that the Philippines is a Spanish crown colony.
No. I am talking about Sumatra.
I understand.
When your conquests are complete, you will have a border with us.
I'm
Is that
aware,
correct?
but you already have a border with us, do you not? I mean, it's just across
Yeah,
the water.
we don't have
Oh, no, we don't. We
a,
don't have a
a
land
water.
border.
If everybody has a border,
Your
with everybody
island in
else, there's a
Celebes is
water.
literally, I believe, within 100 miles of the Philippines.
Yes, but our conquests have not ever gone in the direction.
Did you
of
also
Spanish
not just
holding.
launch an invasion of Brunei?
No.
We were fired upon at Brunei.
Yeah.
You fought a war at Brunei. Where was the ambassador
It
that
was
came
on.
to speak
It was
with
on the
Spain?
island of Borneo.
Correct, but we have islands that are literally next to it. We have a border with it. So where
Yes,
was the
we all-
ambassador?
people
We're
have
getting
islands
caught up in
everywhere.
a lot of like useless nuance here. The
Yes,
point
I
is that both of us have interests in Asia, and we need to have a discussion about where we are both expanding to and suggest each other's own interests here. I think that would be the more productive route to take here.
Yes, we agree.
Good. Given there's no British ambassador, I mean, at least is there? Is that
It would
who's
be
here right
hard
now?
to differentiate if you want the East Indian ambassador. We might even want to invite the Siam ambassador for the Qing's influence on the matter.
The Qing are the Qing. I mean, I'm fine with inviting the Qing's minister here if you would like.
No, that's okay.
No, I
I'm
think
just
you bring
saying.
up a very good point. I think that we should invite the Qing's minister here, and Spain would like to formally request that.
We talked to them recently. They do not care about you.
Yes.
It's an odd way to put a diplomatic statement. One moment. I will be right back.
Wait, we need to be
Hello.
polite.
India has claims.
I hate to interrupt you here, but there is a conversation being had after the Dutch got quite upset about an action of Spain here. We'd like to formally invite the minister of the Qing, as well as that of Siam, to be a part of these talks concerning the future of Asia, as we view our Qing as a potentially very good new friend, and would like to formally invite you to these discussions.
Yeah. So you want us somewhere now? Yeah.
Yeah, just jump at the chat that we're all in up there.
Yep. Okay.
Way of thinking.
This is risky, but we're gonna do it.
But,
All right.
yes. I've heard of what the Queen, of what the Qing has told me, and I've heard what Her Majesty has told me.
One moment. We are just waiting for the arrival of the Qing's minister, and I believe an ambassador from Siam will also be here shortly. I think it would be good if we have a proper discussion of Asia if we're going to have this conversation.
Greetings, gentlemen. My name is Wang Yang. I am the Master of Foreign Relations for the Great Emperor of Qing. I'm here to represent his interests.
Welcome. So I believe the conversation that's being had here is really about the identity of Asia and what control will be where. We obviously just launched an invasion of Akka in order to bring it under control, which, given there were no international claims over, was completely within our legal right. We were approached by the Dutch East Indies has contended this due to internal conversations with the Dutch government, which is valid, but that's an internal state matter of the Dutch Empire. I think the conversation then is turning to really where things will go in Asia, as there still are regions that have no great power, influence, or direct control over them right now, and this is a conversation that would be very good to have with all of our countries. Is that
okay?
Yes.
Who would like to
Before we continue, there's currently a bureaucratic matter about the nation of Baccarat. They're currently in a revolution. It is hard to find a government for them to surrender.
I think any actions taken by any countries right now, after both our obviously conquest of Akka, the Portuguese invasion of Barus, and then your invasion of Siak should all cease. I think we should get a discussion here before we do anything else.
No, the Siak is already over. I'm talking about my war against Baccarat.
You started another war?
Yes.
Really? During these negotiations?
We didn't realize that was never stated that we should stop.
I mean, there's another war that I would like to start right now, but I've been holding off on it until we had this conversation, so I would request that the Dutch East Indies do the same.
Well, we have already conquered part of Baccarat, but they're currently in a revolution, and so that we will have to finish conquering the squabbling governments.
You do see how it might be seen as problematic if one of the negotiating parties at an Asian discussion of territories is just declaring wars and conquering territory in the middle.
Yes. We do not see this as the middle. We see this as we did before it was agreed to have a conversation.
I would hope that's quite
and that
unfortunate.
Baccarat is a bureaucratic issue rather than a...
Well, this is the fundamental issue why we need to have this conversation, right? Is that the Dutch East Indies has been nonstop conquering territories in Asia with many other relevant parties for quite some time now, and are continuing to do it. Which is why I think, again, we would like to hear the primary Dutch's government. I mean no offense, but we do view the government Amsterdam, or is it The Hague right now? Amsterdam, I think. Your government
as Amsterdam and Batavia.
As the legitimate government is in the Netherlands. As to your thoughts on all of this. Is he here? No, he's not here.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
He's here.
Oh, okay, cool. What your thoughts are on all of this? You have a wayward vassal that is causing some issues here.
Talking about taking territories during negotiations, or are we just
Correct.
talking about the general?
And then the general lack of communication, which I think is many parties, but specifically the starting of war during a talk here.
Well, I'm under the assumption that during the talks we did not discuss other territories outside of Og or Barus. Therefore, the wars that were already started or were started during those talks were made.
So if I was to start a war of Toli Toli right now, that'd be reasonable then too?
No, because we already discussed not having another war. I'm saying the other war was started without that. The declaration to not start another war, and therefore is still valid. There was no universal assumption as to not stop a war. But regardless, it's like semantics over this. As long as no more wars are declared, we should be fine.
Out of RP, what's Toli Toli?
It's an island in the Spice Islands. Sorry, a region in the Spice Islands that's unconquered at the present.
Where is it near?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
The point being, Spain is looking to obviously build a colonial system in Asia after the current unfortunate circumstances that has resulted in our loss of colonies in the Americas, which we could sit here and talk all day about that, but we're not going to. We're seeking a reasonable division of lands in this region of the uncurrently occupied territories, where all the nations here can reach a sort of balance, I suppose.
I will. The Emperor has commissioned me to have this discussion. However, we will not be part of talks to divvy up Asia between your two nations, as fundamentally we do oppose to it. But as I'm sure you're aware, we're two major European nations. We are not ignorant enough to think that we can stop it. We are here to represent my interests and the interests of my subject nations, that being including Siam. We wish for anything south of Siam and its claimed territory, that being anything south of Johor, to be basically left alone in the state that it is in. Siam is going to continue consolidating power in its region. Anything north of that, I would advise you to leave alone. Apart from that, talking about the areas of Borneo and all these islands, that you may fight amongst yourselves, but Qing will not be dragged into a war. Sorry.
The discussion here is intended not to be a war. I don't think it's more how to deal with the situation. I mean, you say that the Qing do not wish for, obviously, foreign countries to have influence in Asia. That is reasonable. But the Dutch and their vassal have been going to war constantly in the last 50 years, I believe, here.
Right, but you also have to understand that this issue is between your two nations.
We thought it would be relevant to bring you here as, I mean, the major power in the region. I mean, we can have these discussions by ourselves if you would prefer.
I want to know what's being proposed, quite frankly.
Yes, you wish to witness the events, but you don't necessarily want to be a party to the events.
Okay.
Well, no, it depends what is being discussed. But I just want someone to make a proposal instead of us sitting here and bickering.
Well, okay, so let me clarify. Spain, as far as we see it, is that the Dutch and their colonies in Dutch East Indies is just fighting war after war here, taking more and more territory. All these regions are either minor trading partners or relevant in the Spanish sphere in Asia, and we see this as a problem. So either we're interested in one of two things, which is one, both parties agree to cease hostilities and expansion and wars of conquest, or B, if that cannot be attained, to discuss what would be a part of whose sphere, I suppose, here.
Yes, you want to do business. We can understand doing business with each other.
What do you mean business?
You want to do horse trading, yes? As they call it in your lands? We have horses, you have horses. There's horses over there, there's horses over here.
I think this discussion is a little bit more nuanced, but I suppose there's a comparison. I mean, we have another phrase in my country, unilateral expansion, which is what we've seen from the Dutch East Indies, which is our main concern here.
Well, I mean, this is the way of the Europeans for 1,000 years now, right?
The issue
I would like to hear what the overlord of the Dutch East Indies has to say on these matters.
Can you clarify one more time? Just make sure I got everything right.
Sorry.
What are you asking my opinion on? Just to clarify, so I know what I'm exactly.
I am just the general Dutch policy and opinion on what's going on in Asia.
On the policy of consolidating territory or of trading horses?
I mean, all of the above and whatever else you can think of.
Just to inform you that we're going to continue annexing our subjects, but not expanding into unsubjected lands.
I feel those are this statement that the Dutch East Indies made. I feel like that was a valid statement. These are the puppets of the Dutch East Indies, and therefore are Dutch East Indies business.
Yeah.
Certain territories are of our claim as of right now. The Western New Guinea is of our claim, and the rest of Eastern New Guinea is under the claim of Australia. But regardless, for the sake of peace and maintenance, we can recognize the claims of Spanish Ak and Portuguese Ak in exchange for the allowance of consolidation of Borneo and I think whatever this island is called, the Salibs, and the island of Bali, just to consolidate Dutch East Indies territory and not have any gaps or breaks within territory.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't the other states in Borneo currently claimed by Brunei?
Not Silambao or Xinjiang. I'm really meaning Kutai and Basur.
Selimbao is broken right now. It's impossible.
Hammurabae,
Brunei, the dictator of Brunei claims Selimbao, and any occupied territory by Brunei right now. The rest is unclaimed by
That's
the
that's fine.
dictator of Brunei.
Okay.
We were referring to the states of Kutai and Basar, who are independent states that divide Dutch East Indies territory within the region. That's mainly my only concern is consolidating territory and creating no borders or gaps between Dutch East Indies territory.
Kutai is another unclaimed state, though. I just want to clarify. Does Brunei see?
Yes.
Do they claim Kutai or do they not claim Kutai? To the Brunei dictators delegation.
We at this time we do not claim Kutai.
Okay, no issue then. But you do. You said you claim a Silimbao, correct? Is what you do claim.
Limbao, yes.
Okay.
We wish to subjugate the hill tribes of Borneo.
Then we see no issue with what the Dutch have said, which was just again the consolidation of which would be Kutai and then Pasir as well, correct?
Bali and then Toli, just to unify Dutch East Indies lands on the islands, and so that we don't have a land border between Spanish or Portuguese nations, bar Dili and Ak with Ak.
Given we're fine with that, but you are aware that Ak would require the Dutch East Indies to cede the remainder of it to either us or the Portuguese, correct?
Yes, and then the Sunda Islands would also be a problem.
The Sunda Islands are, I believe, controlled by the Portuguese, aren't they?
Yes.
I mean, they're legally Portugal's at present, so that wouldn't be a part of this discussion as far as I'm
Portugal
aware.
is not present.
Portugal?
We believe that the Iberians were walking together on the same path.
We cooperate with the Portuguese, but I'm trying to understand their opinion. Portugal, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
They're suggesting that the Sunda Islands shouldn't be yours.
Why?
No, I'm just stating that the Sunda Islands are also a border.
So
Okay.
are you fine with them having the Sunda Islands or not?
No, I'm just saying that's the status.
Where is the border? We can all see maps, but are you suggesting anything beyond that there's a border, or is that the end of this?
No, I'm not saying anything beyond that there's a border.
Okay, cool. There's a border there. Regarding the other nations, there's also the I think that's just about everything that remains unclaimed at this time, right?
I do believe so, but not besides Brunei, Johor, and other nations.
Johor is
allied
obviously
to
a
the-
allied and independent. Can we all agree then that the maintenance of the neutrality of Johor is agreeable to everyone? I'm sure Siam and the Qing would prefer that as well.
I would like to say that the current state of Johor is fine with the emperor. Anything north of Johor is rightful claim of Siam, and therefore the Great Empire of Qing.
But how about this?
Yeah,
the Spanish, how we compensate the Dutch by north of Johor. No,
Compensation for what?
I would say again, nothing north of Johor shall be.
Yes, I was trying to figure out if the thing west to it is north. If the Spanish get Johor,
we have no interest in Johor. We honor the Qing's request that it be obviously kept neutral and in its present term.
I do also honor the request of the Qing Emperor on Johor's neutrality.
We are absolutely fine with it being in alliance with the East India Company right now, as they are securing its peace, and that is fine with us.
I do feel some financial compensation is required for the loss of Ak from the Dutch East Indies. In exchange for
We would be happy as long as discussion can be made for the compensation of the Portuguese over lost territories in the region.
Are the Portuguese losing territory?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they already lose territory in the region, Portugal?
We didn't lose. No.
Oh, you did? I thought you had more of the Indonesian region.
No, they have Micronesia.
In vanilla, there is more, not in this one.
I see. Okay, that's my bad then.
Yeah.
Regarding Ak, we do see no reason for compensation, given that you had no international claim on it and it was not yours by right. So, if you're talking about the region that you're talking about ceding to us, there is that what you mean? And like Medan?
Yes, like
okay.
But that recognition was made by the British Empire, even if it was not international.
We are not the British Empire, though. I want to reiterate that again. So, for the state that you're talking about transferring to us in Aka, that we can discuss.
Wait, we would give you something in Aka?
Well, yeah, the agreement was that you got to unify all your borders if we got the region of Aka, which you currently control some of. That was your statement to us by the Dutch government.
If I may make a suggestion, Perhaps, yes, you get the rest of Ach, and then Portugal gives us some of the islands they have.
I'm
It's a very
not the
small
Portuguese
part of
government, so that would be you'd have to find some reason for them. Maybe the region of Bukhara goes to the Portuguese, the rest of Aka goes to Spain, and then we would be willing to give you some manner of compensation for that to make a reasonable balance in the region.
Is that pleasing to you, Duchy?
Batavia. I believe the wording so far is yes, agreeable. I cannot find much problem with it now.
So, in exchange for recognition of Dutch claims to Kutai, Pasir, Bali, and Toli Toli, the Dutch East Indies will surrender the territory of Aka to the Spanish Empire. Bacara will be given claims to Portugal, and will the Sunda Islands be traded, or are there still left?
That would be a sale of territory you'd have to speak with the Portuguese about. I'm not sure if they're interested in selling it.
All right, that can be a separate issue.
Yeah, we can solve that later.
Right, so as well as
also, is Portugal agreeable to this proposal as well?
Yes, we are agreeable with this proposal. Since Portugal has claims on Bacra, we are happy with this deal.
We also wish to stress the Dutch claim on Western New Guinea, as well as the Australian claim to Eastern New Guinea.
Eastern New Guinea?
Yes, that's a British claim.
That is indeed an international claim as well.
We do not oppose and we support the British claim.
We would honor the British claim, but that's not something that we are in need of. You're not the British either, so
So you support the agreement we made with the British on New Guinea?
We're not involved in that agreement, and so as such, we wouldn't have any relevant say on that.
Will you recognize that agreement?
That's a conversation between the Spanish Empire and the British to be had. But it's not separate, because no one here is claiming or controls that region.
Just quickly,
do you at least accept Western New Guinea?
Sorry?
Do you at least accept the claim of Western New Guinea?
I will again need to speak to the king and councillors and have a talk with obviously the British about that before we can say conclusively. There's no reason that would be in this treaty though.
Just whilst we're here, I have other matters to attend, but I would just like to confirm with both the great nations of the Kingdom of Netherlands and the Kingdom of Spain that on the mainland, anything north of Johor is claim of Siam. Correct?
Yes.
Are we all agree in agreement?
Is the British ambassador here? I need to speak with them.
Yes, our powers can go over to afterwards. But yes,
we also do have other matters to attend to and would like to
just
get an agreement here.
Sorry, the Kingdom of Spain, do you agree to that notion?
Which one, sorry?
That anything north of Johor is rightful claim of Siam.
Yes.
On the mainland. Just be aware, gentlemen, we are ceding to you for all these islands that are not towards the mainland. In return, all we ask is that you leave from north of Johor, the Kingdom of Siam, Qing, and all the other nations alone. Do we agree?
Yes.
It's agreeable.
Yes.
This is the agreement the Dutch East Indies had with the Qing before.
Thank you for the agreement. But is that also the policy of the Dutch leadership? Yes.
Yes, our agreements with the Qing are as made.
Excellent.
Excellent.
And the Kingdom of Spain?
Yes, as we said before, we have no issue with this.
Thank you. Then, gentlemen, thank you for your invite, and I shall take my leave.
Farewell. Do we have an agreement here on these territorial transfers and acknowledgements of claims here?
Yes, I think so.
Good.
Yeah.
Before we end, what is the sum that you wish to be paid for the region of Aka that you are ceding to the Spanish?
So, out of our fee, what do you think? I'm not really good with amounts of money that are good here.
I'll give you context. Mexico sold California, Nevada, Texas, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico for $5 million. So there's some context here.
Okay, I'll go talk with Sam about it and see what he thinks first.
Just give me a number that's reasonable, and I think we'll have no issues here.
Wonderful.
Cool. All right. I'm glad that we could solve this diplomatically.
Do you want to do the RP post, or should I do the RP post?
You're welcome to do it. I'm going to write my own, but it will be after the game because I don't do them in the middle. So it's up to you.
Sounds perfect.
Cool. You're welcome.
Thank you, Gentle.
Thank you.
Does anybody here wish to talk to Brunei?
The Spanish absolutely would like to.
You are welcome to do so.
Do you wish for the Dutch East Indies to be witness to these talks, or do you want me to? Do you want us to leave the room?
For Brunei's part, I shall contact you.
You are
my own
currently
time.
in the chambers of as a Spanish delegation, probably in Asia right now. So, given our talks with you are done, we would formally request that you leave, since there's nothing relevant here.
Yes.
Ah, okay. It is good to formally speak with you. Am I speaking with the dictator himself or one of his ambassadors?
Yes, I am Ali bin Nick. I am the rightful dictator of the realm of Brunei, and the Sultan agrees that I am the rightful dictator. My claim is entirely legitimate.
Of course. I would never suggest it is not, nor would Spain. We would be very interested in having a talk with you about the future of Spain and Brunei's relationship. Just for some context, it was my government who interceded with the Dutch in order to stop the war that was happening, and I believe the plans of the Dutch to bring you under their direct control. So we want to have a conversation.
Your intervention was much appreciated in Brunei. Let me
Of course.
say that.
We were made promises, though, admittedly from an intermediary in the Philippines who made us aware in exchange for this that Brunei was interested in involving themselves in the Spanish sphere and market. Is that correct? We were given a letter here.
Well, in the triumvirate days, short as they may have been, I was forced to live under the oppression of the Qing and of the Islamic powers in Arabia. Both of them had influence here.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not that man. We may share different religions and different ways of organizing the world, but Europe is clearly the preeminent power on the map, and it would make sense for a country as great as Brunei, despite our differences in the past. I remember learning in history that your warriors did fight well, but were thrown back into the sea 2 centuries ago. And I wish to reflect and reject that initial hostility and become closer friends with you.
Correct. We have no interest in fighting wars. One thing that I know my king has learned in the civil wars, the spitting of Spanish blood for anything but good reason, is inadvised. We're seeking a more diplomatic situation here. The Qing has its spheres, such as in Siam, Dainam, etc., where they have a measure of influence and control, but not direct rule. What we're interested with your government is something similar, where you also would be a part of our sphere, much like other nations were part of the Qing, as in the Qing we're seeking with you. But if you know anything about our system and government, you know that we don't take direct rule. We have a system called the Council of the Indies, wherein we cede almost all direct internal matters to countries within the Spanish sphere, and we wish to see if Brunei would be interested in. You'd have full access, tariff-free to all Spanish goods in European markets, and we would also be able to help industrialize and develop your country at the cost of a small sum yearly and inclusion in Spanish economic markets for obviously no tariffs, importing or exporting.
This is an interesting proposal.
And forgive me, we were under the belief also that it was the one that you gave to the Philippines and therefore the Spanish crown.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
Don't misunderstand me here. However, since my palace coup, the dynamic has changed somewhat, and the Dutch East Indies, as well as having a ceasefire with me, also offered me dominion over the whole island of Borneo, including the parts they directly control. Now, as you heard, we have no claim over Borneo, but I must say it was quite a tempting offer.
I can understand that.
Could I have some sort of guarantee that the economic subsidies that I will receive will outweigh the benefit I would get from...
One thing you will have noticed at that meeting,
Borneo?
I mean this with no disrespect, is there is a degree of hostility between the Dutch over Asia at this time, is the fundamental fact that legal treaties and legal documents are given fair claim in Europe. I'm sure you heard that at the meeting, correct?
Yes, of course.
Legally, and I know you will say that your government is a different one, which it may be, but legally, your nation gave a line of correspondence and an offer to Spain, which legally is still on the table. We are happy to cooperate. We're happy to provide subsidies to you when our economy does stabilize, which it is finally now. And we're happy to provide those things. But I do want to put this very clearly that in terms of European law, I'm happy to discuss the terms of this, but your country has legally already stated that this is going to happen. Respectfully.
With all due respect, sir, our country did no such thing. I personally wrote to the government in Manila, right? And I am an honourable man, but I am not the government of Brunei, and we did not sign a treaty, secret or otherwise, with your country. I sent out a missive, which received no reply.
I do see. Did the Philippines not reply to you out of RP?
No.
God
no
damn
reply from the Philippines. Whereas the Dutch East Indies did send a reply.
Fuck. He said he was going to. God damn it. All right. Well, that is a problem then. Yeah, no, that is a problem then. So, yeah, okay. Well, that makes sense. If the correspondence of the king to his governor in the Philippines did not reach you, then that is a very different matter and one I was not aware of. Therefore...
That misunderstandings occur all the time in diplomacy. I won't hold it against you, but you understand my
No, I do understand your position.
More clearly.
Well, I'll frame this to you in a very simple light. The Dutch East Indies hold much of, obviously, the region. What did you hear the Dutch East Indies speaking about in that meeting about their subjects?
They hold them with disdain, but I hear...
Correct. Disdain and incorporation. Correct?
Correct.
Can you point to one example you've known from history where Spain has directly incorporated a vassal and not given them almost total autonomy?
Perhaps not a vassal, but I see your occupation of Sulu and Mindanao across the water. We have no cause to...
The Mindanao issue is primarily due to the fact that it is going to be ceded to the Philippines out of RP. We were in a war in last session, and this one, the player didn't show.
That's fine, but Brunei would still see that as Spanish aggression.
Well, let me make you another offer, which is that after the ceding of the territories of Aka go through, that we transfer the region to you. As long as you are within our sphere and things like that, we don't wish for direct rule there, as it's frankly an inconvenience for our government.
And this would come with military protection.
Any part of the Spanish sphere is fully under the protection of Spain at all times.
Would I have to agree now, or can I get back to you by the end of the session?
You could consider it.
Thank you. I will consider it. It is a fine offer. And we, after the expansionism of the Dutch East Indies, we have more common cause with the Spanish than we do the Dutch. In fact, I was looking over the censuses in my nation, and we have quite a large Catholic minority, which obviously puts us closer to this Catholic power of Spain than the Netherlands.
That's good to hear. Catholicism is the one true faith of the Christian people. So
we will disagree, but you are people of the book. So.
We are. My king feels very strongly on such things, and I wish to make his position clear. But you have our offer. Subsidies, the transference of Aka, the protection within the sphere of Spain, as well as the promise, as with all of our history, that we do wish for no direct rule in your country or any such things. The requirements for the sending of soldiers in war and the yearly tithe, which is very minor, as well as obviously inclusion in our markets. Those are our proposal to you. You're welcome to consider it, and we do obviously not view the proposal as legally binding, given there was no response given by our puppet.
That's fine. I will go and speak to my advisors and to the Dutch to inform them of my decision one way or the other. Is that agreeable?
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. Absolutely. That's fully agreeable. I have to jump and talk to Quas out of RP.
No.
An attack. I can't believe that the United Kingdom supports this jihadist state over a European Christian brethren.
It's profit. I don't play this scandal. This religious game doesn't matter to me. It's.
You are the defender of the Church of Great Britain.
The British Empire does not care for what?
In Great Britain, people are allowed to express their faith privately however they like. We don't. It doesn't matter to us. It's not an important concern. We had this conversation many years ago, back in the medieval times, when we were still fighting with swords and shields. Now we have great fleets and a trade empire to worry about. If we cared about every different small minor religious person in our nation, we'd collapse in days. We don't. It's not important.
Out of RP, really briefly, I just had an offer that I let go because I was waiting. Borno just asked me to join this war in exchange for subjugating the Sokoto. Just trying to figure out what's going on with the situation.
Yeah. Can I explain this to Hamu?
Yep.
Like Sokoto came to me and was like, Denmark, we want the area of Lom. You can see my small colony there, right? Under Eve. He was like, we will attack this, and I obviously RP'd that I don't take them serious because, you know, European nation, blah blah blah. I was like that we will defend it, and then they talk with the United Kingdom. And now the United Kingdom kinda tries to defend Sokoto and wants to support them
in taking Danish territory.
I didn't realize they wanted to take Loam. As far as I was aware, it was only you they wanted to take, right? That was my understanding.
He told me, like, he insulted
Loam.
He insulted first of all an RP the entire Christian world. And then he said that he wants Loam, my area. Like, he wanted to take this away from me. Like, he wants the entire area.
I wasn't aware of that, okay? As far as I'm aware, it was just you that we were arguing
So
over.
formally, is Sokoto under the protection of the British Empire?
Currently, that is what I'm trying to convey, yeah.
So legally, you're protecting them, because otherwise I would have joined that war to puppet them.
No, yeah, I am
okay.
trying
Cool.
to protect
Thank you for your time.
No problem.
Yep.
Hello there.
Yes, who's the, welcome?
I apologize. I've been locked in negotiations in Asia for quite a period. I know there was a meeting of the Holy Alliance, so I wish to know when the next one was, as there are several worrying matters that we need to talk about, if possible.
Yes, let's re-invite them again. I did tell them to stay in their residences in Vienna in the meantime. Give me a moment.
Hello there. Alright, I'm also going to launch my war for Morocco, which I already RP'd out, which is a continuing with the Reconquista. Alright, also just a second, guys. I know this is long, and I said it was going to be long. Today will be like all the RP. Last session, and like this week in between games, there's been 101 things that have happened, and it's a case of like, there's so much backlog diplomacy that's going to happen, so I will say it again. Today will be mostly listening to RP, so. I am working on a country and other things. I've already RP'd out the war in Morocco, so just a heads up. What's the light pop? Are you going to go attack Madagascar? Yes, after Morocco.
Okay, just joking.
Hello there.
Alright. Yes, welcome to Vienna, Spain. To whom are we speaking to? Is this a representative?
This King Carlos has traveled directly. If this is a meeting in Vienna or Berlin, Carlos himself would have gone.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming in. I must inform you, the Chancellor and Foreign Minister Prince Clemens Wenzel von Metternich has passed away, so you'll be speaking with Lord von Fickelmont.
I am sorry to hear that. You have our condolences.
Thank you. We are all here today. We've been awaiting for your arrival. We understand that you had issues in Asia, but I believe it's been taken care of.
It has. A reasonable compromise has been met.
All right. Good to hear. Please take the floor. What do you have for us?
To start off with, we have petitioned, obviously, the Holy Alliance. I petitioned it in the beginning of the Carlist War, and it was refused, which I of course was reasonable. I was losing power in a civil war, though I do view as the Salic rights as a religious one. We understood your disinterest in involving yourselves, as it was dangerous, and the British-backed puppet in Madrid was doing much better. After the end of the war, I sent letters to several nations involved in the Holy Alliance, as I was unsure as to its membership and relations over the Schleswig-Holstein issue. I would like to formally give apologies to Russia for not sending a letter. We were just frankly not sure about how that situation was going and wasn't sure what was going on. But we did petition formally for either a cooperative role or a more active role in the Holy Alliance. To make it clear, I am in the process of rebuilding the Spanish Empire to the best of my ability. Much of the civil unrest in my country after the end of the Civil War is gone, but there will be much that remains for a time. And my interest is always a religious one, first and foremost. That is why the Reconquista is continuing and why my troops are now marching into Morocco to spread the light of the Lord. I am interested in some measure of cooperation or direct admission to the Holy Alliance in order to uphold Christian values throughout the world. As you are the sole major political alliance that does take, as far as we are aware, religion first and foremost in actions, which is why I do wish to petition you. I have another matter to bring up in a moment, but this is the primary one I'd hope to speak with you all about.
The Prussian delegate is in favor of this. The king has told me personally himself how King Carlos of Spain, his dedication to God, his dedication to fighting liberalism, and the way that he was a leader of men on the battlefield and led Prussian men, Basque men, and Spanish men to victory against the evils of liberalism. For that, they are an exemplary. They're an example of exactly what we strive to be in the Holy Alliance, and for that, I believe they are a perfect addition and accept we petition that we accept this proposal. Thank you.
You're most kind, but I will say it was my general, Jose Maria Rodil, who did most of the fighting. Your officers must have gotten a little liberal with their praise, and God requires honesty, but I do thank you.
The Russian Empire can also support this initiative. We cannot speak highly enough about the new and rightful king in Madrid.
We thank you.
And Austria as well is always happy to hear a fellow God-fearing nation to join the Holy Alliance and bring stability in Europe against the liberal tide that is nations, young democratic nations such as France or whatsoever.
I am honored, and my nation and the crown of Spain is honored to be a part of such a noble enterprise, as faith must always be what we reflect on and are inspired by as leaders of men.
All right. So please bring up the issue that you have with us.
So we have just dealt with a most concerning issue, which I'm sure that the Danish, and I know this has gotten complicated with your nation's own politics, but we were sent a very odd offer. I was sent a letter that arrived on my desk around a month ago at the end of the Dutch conversation in Asia, where I was petitioned in order to intervene in the War of the Sokoto by the tribe of Bornu, some manner heathen tribe, which was seeking to not be conquered by the caliphate in Sokoto, which, as I'm sure you're aware, is a Muslim caliphate that has done nothing but expand since its conception over the last several decades. This is on top of supposedly the Caliph of the Sokoto threatening to declare war on Loma to take it from the Danish, who we have no relations with. What caused great concern for us was the reason that we did not intervene, as we were sent a formal statement that the Sokoto are now under the protection of the British. And apparently they were even discussing, and I'm not sure on the details of this, but there was a discussion ongoing about support even with the Danish, though I'm not sure if the delegates knew exactly what was happening. My worry, and why I wish to bring it to a religious alliance in Europe, is that the British are now formally backing and supporting not just the heathen, which they have done so in the past, but one who has spread the torch of Allah through sword and violence. We would have liked to involve ourselves there in order to purge the heathens of their misguided ways and bring the light of Christ to them, but we're obviously made clear that they were under protection of the British, and now the British are even protecting them in a potential invasion of the Danish regions in Africa. We wish to bring this to the attention of the Holy Alliance and to ask their opinion on this matter.
I'm sorry, do the Russian delegates understand clearly that the British are helping a Muslim country against a fellow Christian country?
Correct. We're unsure of exactly what it was. When I was leaving the meeting, it did sound like perhaps the Caliph of the Sokoto had misled the British on who exactly was instigating that conflict, so we're not too sure. It could well be that the British thought that the Danish were invading the Sokoto and were attempting to stop them. But we're not too sure on the exact nature of this relationship. We do know for a fact that when we asked the British directly if they were under their protection, we know that they are. So they are working with the Caliph there.
This is very, very concerning news.
We agree. It is, you know well, I've made clear my opinion of the British for many good reasons, but they've never been a religious one. For all the nations that they did take from us in the Americas, we're devout Christians. We have no issue there. This is a very different matter, as it does concern a heathen.
That is true. We have to deal with this issue. Um, what would you like to see from us? We don't necessarily have a navy that can contend with the British.
No, well, I'm not, and I'm not asking for any action here. I wanted to make you aware of the situation and see if perhaps pressure could be put on Britain in a diplomatic sense, just to stop them supporting heathens. I mean, when I was there, the delegate from Britain was making broad claims about not caring about religion or anything like that. We all know that the Anglicans are a poor reflection of Christ's word, but it's pretty absurd how extreme their liberalism and how extreme their tolerance of heathens has become. They are the pinnacle power in the world, but that's my point too, is that their influence and actions could allow heathen faiths and the heathen religion to go stronger, as it clearly is already doing in Sokoto.
Well, the Russians, like to mention, this would be very, very good if we would have the Danish delegation here as well, but unfortunately it cannot be possible because of the Prussians. But regarding this issue involving Sokoto, we will surely try to talk with the British ambassador in St. Petersburg regarding that, and make sure that we are very concerned and understand towards these heathen.
That's good to hear. Obviously, Spain wishes to involve themselves in Africa, and it was our intent to colonize the Niger Delta Basin before launching potentially a crusade of some measure of religious action there, or in other regions of Africa. But I think many of us, as I know Russia, you have done in Eastern Siberia, and I know many of you are not colonizer nations, but for Spain, our principal interest of colonization has always been to spread the word of Christ, to spread the teachings of our religion, and to provide the godless heathens there a measure of redemption from their people's false religions. And regardless of where we go in Africa, we wish to do that. And it concerns us that Britain, which, as I'm sure we all know, will attempt to colonize and take much of the remaining regions of the world. If they do not do that with religion in mind, then as far as we see it, there's a major issue. And we would hope that the other members of the Holy Alliance see it as well.
If I may add further to that, as the French diplomat, the situation you are implying goes far beyond that. They are supporting the Sokoto.
Excuse me, who allowed the French diplomat in?
He slipped by. He slipped by the guards.
Yes. One more thing, though.
Sir, I cannot hear anything from you anymore. You did not have an invitation. Please, I ask you kindly to leave.
Yes, but no.
No more.
It's a spectral figure. He's projecting a hologram. You can't stop him.
Yes. And this is something out of character, really for clarification for Scheitreger. And do you still have a claim on Brunei?
I used an intermediary, which was the Philippines, and they never sent a response to him, so legally, no, I guess.
Okay.
He did say that like he'd become a puppet of Spain if we interceded, which we then did with the Dutch. But then apparently my Philippines ambassador never replied to him. So although I exerted an enormous amount of political influence to stop the Dutch from annexing Brunei, I guess that was never communicated to him. So it's a legal gray area, and as such, he's become a puppet of the Dutch now, which is rather unfortunate given all we did for them. But that is how heathens are, I suppose.
Yeah, that's all. I'll be going now.
All right.
Out of character, did you heard what I just said like 5 minutes ago?
No, you kept disconnecting. We apologize.
Yeah, it's so shitty. I don't know why Discord is doing.
If you'd like, you can text me or John, and we'll basically say it for you, or even say directly to Hamu. And yeah.
His mic quality?
No. His Discord keeps disconnecting.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
But basically, what I said is it would be very, very good that if we would have the Danish here.
The Danish. May I ask, Spain, King Carlos? Unfortunately, your progress into admitting you into the Holy Alliance has been, how do I say, not delayed, but more like. Well, unfortunately, I have to say it truthfully. Russia does not believe that you can join the Holy Alliance unless we agree on a few certain conditions. That is the entrance of Denmark into the alliance. can I ask for your opinion?
You are stopping a holy nation which has done nothing but protect the values of Christianity for its history in order to put another country in? I thought, correct me if I'm wrong here, Ambassador, or I thought this was supposed to be a cooperative agreement of religion first and foremost. Am I incorrect?
That is correct. We, the Prussians and Austrian delegates have been very.
I know that's understood, but I'm asking the Russians specifically. I know that your emperor is a very religious man. It was my understanding that this was a religious agreement first and foremost. That's the only reason we're interested in it.
It is, and the Christian and the Danish king is also a very religious and Christian man.
But you are putting our admission as a holy nation into this agreement under a political lens. Is that a very Christian thing to do?
I'm sorry, King Carlos, but we stated before to the Prussians that we are willing to let you enter into the Holy Alliance, and if they would just basically proclaim that they would not attack another fellow Christian nation, naming Denmark, but they are refusing to do that. So we said it's okay for us, Denmark, not joining.
I just have serious concerns with the fact that this is becoming so political. I know that you have your contentions in the region of Denmark and things like that, but I am shocked that you're putting our admission and involvement. I mean, you yourself just spoke highly of my country for being a pious nation, which we are, that you're making this conditional. Why are you leveraging my nation and my holy purpose in the context of a political dispute?
Because this is the wishes of the Tsar. I'm just merely an ambassador here. I cannot really comment what is going on inside the Tsar's head, but we would like to kindly ask the Spanish, could they accept an attack against a fellow Christian nation?
I want to put this very into perspective here. I'm a man of God, and I pursue his divine will on this earth. I have no interest in involving myself into a primarily political dispute. If this was a religious one, and this nation was a heathenist nation, I'm sure I'd have a strong opinion. But this is not a matter of religion. This is not a matter of Christian piety. This is a separate political matter, and as such, I am not going to push for the other members of the Holy Alliance to allow my country access just in order to deal with a political situation. My only reason for being here, and my only interest in having any discussions with the Holy Alliance and working with you, is for religious and Christian issues. Nothing else.
It is of the opinion of the King of Prussia that Russia is beginning to hijack the purpose of the Holy Alliance, which I would like to remind everyone is a holy alliance first and foremost. They're beginning to hijack it in the name of political gain and of political maneuvering, and we would like to formally denounce Russia for these actions of politicizing this alliance.
Reject this hostility by the Prussian kingdom.
Gentlemen, are we seriously going through at this point? Please don't say this, as this is the death of the Holy Alliance. The denouncement, disagreeing with political machinations. I must ask the both of you, Prussia and Russia, this is getting out of hand.
Gentlemen, I must intercede here on this behalf. You speak truth in that the nature of this alliance is a Christian one. Why are we involving petty politics with the actions that must first come from the Lord? I mean, no disrespect to the Russians. You clearly have a political agreement and alliance with the Danish, and we can respect that context. But likewise, I believe the Prussians have their own matters with them. But I say again, why does this have relevance to a discussion and agreement and alliance which is about religion? Why must we taint a holy purpose with political issues?
It is not a political issue. It is clearly a religious one, as the Danes, as we stated before.
The issue is,
but sorry, if also the delegation from Austria feel this way, that the Russians demand or the Russian ask regarding Denmark is basically stopping the Holy Alliance in its purpose, then out of good faith, we would let this idea go.
And we shall say it from here on out, that this is a political issue. What you bring up is a political issue and is not beholden to the Holy Alliance. That is Austria's official position.
That of Russia as well.
We wanted to hear the Austrians, but we thank you the Prussian contribution. Very well. Then the Russian ambassador and the Russian Tsarevich let this idea go, in the sake for the unity of the Holy Alliance.
We thank you for that, Russia.
God willing.
Does that mean?
In that case, the Prussia will retract its denouncement if Russia will drop the issue of Denmark in regards to the Holy Alliance.
Very well.
Thank you, gentlemen. And thus, does that mean? Can I hear from the two other great nations that Spain is now officially in the Holy Alliance?
Here.
Da.
Good job.
Congratulations, King Carlos. We formally invite you to the Holy Alliance, and will you please accept this?
I thank you, but more so, I thank the Lord himself for his action as seen here today, and in your own actions, and in your own hearts. And we would formally accept the responsibilities of upholding Christianity and tradition, wherever it may be.
Hallelujah.
Here.
All right.
Amen.
So now, on the matters of the British, correct. Can I hear any proposals anybody would like to bring onto the table?
I would like to bring one up. At present time, I'm sure you have seen the statement, Spain is continuing its reconquista into the regions that the heathen controlled, once controlled by Rome herself and the Christian leadership there before, obviously after, the pagans were pushed out. We wish to continue the reconquista there in order to ensure the light of Christ may spread over all regions that once it flourished in. One of the things we had planned to bring to the Holy Alliance before the situation had gotten complicated would be to call a crusade for the Sokoto region, which is why this has become so complicated and why the British interference there has been so worrying to me. I had hoped for admission, but I did not know. I had prayed to the Lord, of course, many days, but regardless, it had been our wish to reaffirm Christianity's preeminent place in this world as the only true religion, as the most influential one. Our proposal had originally planned to have been, as soon as we had been given admission, to launch a crusade on the Sokoto, a caliph who has done nothing but spread his false religion by the sword. We saw it as a good way to, again, reaffirm Christian power in order to call a crusade, invade the region, and bring the light of Christianity to those people. That had been our original proposal, which is why it's become so complicated now that the British are formally supporting this country. Again, a heathen one. Not just a heathen one, but a warlike heathen one. So we'll put that on the table, given I know that is probably not a viable thing anymore, given Britain's desire to work with the Caliph there, but I wish to make that very clear.
The asking for a crusade must have a blessing from the Pope, which is, well, currently busy in its
I'm well aware. It did not need to be it. The crusade is, generally speaking, a desire to spread our religion to any point of the world. And I mean it in a more broader sense. A religious war, primarily. That's why, for example, in Morocco, I could not have a crusade called by the Pope. So instead, I reaffirmed the Reconquista, which is a crusade in itself, a religious war against the heathen.
Right. All right. What do the other members think of this?
So very briefly, thank you for the follow, Durtana, and thank you for the sub in TC. Appreciate it, man.
Unfavorable in the eyes of God, first and foremost, and as well politically, for the sake of balance of power and the geopolitical makeup. However, in this moment, we believe that no actions can be taken unless other countries within the alliance have a proposal. However, at this moment, we don't see any direct action we would be able to take to intervene ourselves in this matter.
That is the unfortunate position here. I mean, there really is nothing to be done. But the toleration of the British towards, I would say, one of the preeminent Muslim nations, and certainly the most dangerous one, is very worrying. We don't have a solution here, But we wish to lay it out for your countries, as again, I think it's important to keep in mind.
Well, the Russians also find it concerning, but since the United Kingdom is, as you may know, rule the waves, we don't know how we can do anything regarding that from St. Petersburg or from Berlin or from Vienna.
We could, however, focus on a more cautious approach that slowly brings gain our power, particularly in putting more claims in Africa for the nations that can afford it. I believe all four of us, if capable, because I believe I remember the British didn't they announce that they would like to open European nations to colonize Africa, allow nations to get claims, correct? Which is another way to another mission to civilize these Africans and these heathens. Am I wrong?
Yeah, speaking of that proposal by the British, we believe is the Holy Alliance must stand united and not allow the British and the French to dictate the way we conduct our foreign policy and the way that these areas are colonized. We need to make sure that the Commission, if there were to be one, to split up these territories, needs to be completely neutral and needs to be within the confines of the Congress of Vienna and have the say of all great powers and not just British and French interests.
Then, do you have a solid proposal that we could give about to tackle this issue, Prussia?
At the current moment, we just oppose the British and French proposal. We propose a proposal that is more where this matter is resolved within the confines of the Congress of Vienna, or in a similar situation where we could potentially invite everyone to Berlin and have everyone, all the great powers involved, in order to discuss this matter and have everyone have an equal say instead of the matter being dictated by British and French interests.
I see. I see. This sounds well. I do like that. A Congress of Berlin, perhaps, where we all can put claims in Africa and our mission to civilize and bring God to these natives. What say you, King Carlos?
This is most agreeable to us. We do wish to just formally request, though, that the nations of here gathered today would support our claim, though, in going after the Sokoto region. We wish to spread the word of God by the sword if necessary, and force the region into submission. And I think my nation has the longest history of proving capable of this.
As such, the Germans would support your claims within the Nigerian Delta region.
Good.
I see no reason to not give the claims as well. Austria has you have Austria's support.
You also have Russia's support.
Then we're very happy to have such a conference and to attend it and to support all of your nations as well. I would like to request, though, before anything proceeds, are other nations gathered here today seeking further colonial expansion around the world?
Other nations gathered here?
Yeah, Austria, Prussia, or Russia. Are any of you planning more colonial expansion?
Russia will for sure be putting in claims.
As much as yes, we will also have interest in claims. The industries of Vienna require much needed goods.
Perhaps it would be a good idea for us to get on a similar foot. Diplomatic conferences can be very chaotic, and
of course,
an understanding of each other's interests, so we do not overlap too much. I already had such an issue with Portugal, which is part of the crisis that did result in me being delayed in Asia.
Yes, as such, I believe first, I believe the first measure is we need to flatly reject the legitimacy of the French and British conference in which claims will be passed out.
Did they already have one?
They, out of RP, Manic said document basically of like all of our claims, and then he would bring us all together and discuss these claims. So everyone should forward their claims to the British.
Use the British yet again attempting to be the deciding force.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I believe our first course of action is to denounce the legitimacy of this.
Why denounce it?
Dividing up the claims?
Why not simply speak with the other colonial powers and get a joint conference set up where the British are not preeminent in it?
Aren't the French also in this conference?
I think
they are.
Why not
Yeah.
speak with the French? If we get the French to agree to a conference, then Britain had little choice but to attend this one.
I believe we should seek diplomatic channels in regards to all the nations, Britain, France, and any other colonial powers, and discuss the first act would be announcing such conference happening in Berlin, the Berlin conference, and then the second act would be to invite other such colonial powers as everyone sees fit.
I also do want to point one thing out. Out of RP, we did have a very loose talk and nothing was formally agreed to, but there was a talk with the GCs that like the Berlin conferences kind of need to be done a bit later. I agree, like RP wise, it makes a lot of sense to be doing it around this time, but I do want to point that out. So maybe we should also talk to Falnor, the lead GC, just to check on that.
Yeah, my plan was like this has same with Manix's. Manix specifically said this was just for the coastal regions.
Yeah.
I was going to make it just for the coastal regions, and then like 10, 15, 20 years down the line we could reconvene and have a similar conference regarding the interior parts.
Yeah, but
I can go speak
controlling
with
the coast
the
defines
coastal
everything, right? So it's kind of that's basically the Berlin conference.
We had to speak
May
with.
I
yes,
need
but-
a GC for a moment. I have a serious question, something I'm a bit pissed off about.
Okay. I can hop down into. You have a channel?
Buganda. Let's go there.
Okay.
Okay. Hope everything goes well. Yes. This proposal about the claims. Yes, we must do this at a later time, as it is not a vital matter right now. But for now, we can give you all three nations to give you our full support in your claims on Sokoto.
Well, that's good. Regarding the situation, I guess we would just request a general keeping an eye on the British supporting of heathens, as we do view that if we were still an empire and I had the power to intercede and be more directly conflictual with the British on this issue, I would, but my nation, as you well know, is a shadow of its former self, so there's very little I can do.
Understood. We understand, and but time will give us strength, and God always lights the way for rightful God-fearing nations to.
He does.
Yes. So, if that is all, is there anything else?
I do not believe so.
All right. We thank you, and if anything of the Russian ambassador, oh, he's on the floor. Yeah. Anything, I shall bring him up to speed. If anything.
Sounds good.
Yes. Thank you for visiting Vienna, King Carlos.
And thank you
Please
for accepting
enjoy
us
any
into
of
the
our
Holy Alliance.
pleasantries. Of course. And enjoy your day.
You too. All right, we have to talk with the French now too.
No.
There's another.
Here he is. Hello, Spain.
Hello there.
Greetings. So, I don't mind your conquering of Aceh. It just, as I told you, I just wanted to be informed. And apparently, you told my French diplomat that it was not really the necessary.
Did my voice get cut off, or were you ending?
I was talking.
Oh.
Your mic was cut off, I think. Yes.
Oh, shit,
as
okay.
well.
Sorry, I missed the last part then.
So, when I proposed you funds to help you recover from the civil war, I stated that I just wanted you to inform me when you want to pursue ambitious conquering stuff.
I informed you of the ACA issue, though, in a correspondence very recently about our desires to obviously get those regions if at all possible. I named 3 regions, one of which was ACA, correct?
Yes, but I told you we were dealing with Brunei first, and now it's lost.
I understand, but a lot of things happened at the same time, and it was quite unfortunate. And we did have our word broken with Brunei, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, I think Brunei wanted to join the Dutch, so.
And he already has. And as far as my office sees it, one day there is a debt to be paid there with Brunei, who gave false promises to us. There was an issue, though, with my governor in the Philippines who failed to bring correspondence, such that it is a bit of a complicated issue now.
Yes. Also, I have words from my diplomat, and that stated that you were, let's say, prioritizing your alliance with Prussia or Austria rather than France. So.
We were at a meeting in order to, perhaps I should give some perspective here. We're at a meeting in order of which we have formally joined the Holy Alliance. This is primarily due to a religious issue. My religion comes first, and the Holy Alliance is upholding of conservative values and Christian tenets in Europe is a pinnacle concern. Your diplomat barged in and proceeded to lambast the public meeting loudly and ignore the complaints of all gathered delegates for him to be civil and to be quiet. I frankly don't even know how he managed to get into the room for some context. So yes, there was a degree of hostility there.
Okay.
From, I believe, the other delegates gathered. I would caution you to have a talk with your diplomat about finding a way to communicate when he has the leave to do so.
Yes, sir. But just, I wanted to say, if you want still to cooperate with us, it just, we need to, let's say, better be coordinator.
I understand, but I also want to make it clear, I fail to see the bigger issue here, though. You requested that we communicate to you anything that we have done, and I have done so to you. I mean, you have the correspondence to prove that. What I did not promise is to be beholden to the French and need their permission to take any action. Those are two very different things, correct? I want to clarify, we thank you for your support, and we view cooperation with your country as important, but we also do not need your permission to take action.
Okay.
Then, and that you can agree to, right?
Yes. It was on the condition of receiving more funds in the future.
If you would wish to cut off our subsidies, we can agree to that, as we have rebuilt to a degree here. I mean, so if you choose to do that, that is reasonable. But I would wish to firmly say, as a man who takes his word, as the Lord does tell us, we must always be honest, very seriously, I have done nothing to break the agreement we have.
All right. Let me just research my letters with you. Hold on, just a sec.
Oh shit, we're back in game.
Yes, what I'm trying to say is that you expressed your claim, but you didn't warn me when you started the invasion. It's different things, you know. It just I wanted to be precise on that. You
want to explicit any time I'm about to declare war, I send a message to France then?
If you want my support, yes.
But I also would like to get your acknowledgement then that if we send it, we don't need your permission to still go ahead. That's agreed?
The thing is, when you started that war with Alsace, you must understand that you're trespassing the sphere of influence of the East Indies, okay? So that time the conflict was avoided, obviously, but sometimes...
well aware, but the issue is they have no legal binding rights to those regions besides internal matters and those discussed with Britain, and we are not beholden to British law and agreements, nor to Dutch internal agreements. Spain is an independent country, and we have no reason to honor agreements made between singular nations when we're not involved in them.
All right.
I mean, I am correct in that assumption that there was no international treaty where that region was agreed by all major powers in Europe that was theirs, right?
what I want to precise is that if you still want to cooperate and receive funds from us, we just need to be more in touch.
I understand,
And
but I'm going to be very honest with you,
you.
which is that Spain is. It is my goal, as I've communicated to you in letters, to rebuild what remnants we can out of our situation. And if that requires us to take more radical, ambitious action, I'm willing to do it. Now, obviously, in the future, I'm willing to notify your government before any of these wars or formal actions, if you'd like that explicitly stated. But I also would like to formally state that if my government and I do choose action, it is within my full right. And any agreement with your government would need to come under the acceptance that our own sovereignty and our own choices are ours.
Yes, because I'm thinking it in the long term. My concerns about the expansion of the British Empire are becoming real, and I'm gonna need support, and I think you're a potential ally, so that's why I value our cooperation, but it just needs more coordination.
The problem here is we need to. You speak of the long term and Spain being a good ally. I agree. That's why we're interested in cooperation with your country. Is that we see the Britain as not only a threat but a nation that is sundered an empire, ours specifically. We want the same things. But in order for us to become a strong ally and for the Spanish Empire to become relevant again, we cannot just simply sit here on our peninsula waiting for the permission of other powers to gain relevance again. We need to take action, and I'm going to take that action. And the French Empire may have the convenience to wait. Spain does not. We are in a pivotal period of our history where we will either go into irrelevance due to inaction, or we will build something back for ourselves. And waiting for us is a much more dangerous thing than waiting for you.
I don't agree, because if you wait, for example, the next Congress of Europe, when we will gather all the claims of Africa, you will have my support to have territories there, so you don't have to rush things, you know, because when you do so, you appear more infamous. And I don't remember exactly who told me that, but your reputation is a bit worsening now because of
our
this
reputation is poor with countries who have never held us in good regard. The Dutch have always been our enemies. The British have destroyed our empire. The other countries, the other powers of Europe that we place relevance in, such as yourself and the other Christian leaders of Europe, they have no such opinion of us. One must hold themselves to the statement that you must look at who your enemies are and who your friends are, and I'm very happy with who my enemies and my friends are right now.
Okay. So, just to conclude, more coordination, more alignment, and yeah,
And on our behalf, respecting of our sovereignty and our choices, even if you do disagree with them. If we were to start some radical war with the British or something, I understand. But if it is actions we are taking, we want the respect our nation deserves, by France not deigning to suggest that that we require their permission or anything like that.
It's not that I disapprove, it's just sometimes if you go too far, you will not have my support for some matters. It's just that you can do whatever you want. I mean.
Good. Then we, I think, are both agreeing here to the same thing.
Yes.
Good. I will inform your government before any war I take in the future then. And as it's already started, and I've made it very clear to you, we are going into Morocco and continuing the Reconquista as you are doing in Algiers.
Yes.
Good. Very well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador.
Oh shit, all the temps are gone, aren't they?
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, like Wata and Vladop lagged the game, I think.
Yeah.
Sadly. And it's for like more, I don't know, like 5 minutes. We are on July the 14th.
You just gotta kick them. Rehosting with them will do nothing.
Yeah.
There's also only 1 hour left to play, so just kick them.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Well, DCs want to do that. That's fine. I'm gonna hop down for a moment and take a breather. Alright. I think we have a moment here. I like Diplo, but 2 straight hours of it is a little long. Okay, well this has been really hectic. I'm going to talk a little bit about a lot of this happening, my reasoning, and why we're at where we are right now. So, this was really important in Asia. The loss of Brunei is fucking huge. That's a complex situation. The guy in power promised us that he'd become our puppet if we interceded on his behalf, which we did. To clarify, I intervened with the Dutch and basically demanded them stand down and all that kind of stuff like he requested. So legally, or technically, he should become our puppet. But I guess the Philippines, who was the intermediary, never told him that was going to happen. So we got absolutely fucked there. The reason I started that war with the Portuguese to intervene there is if you look at Asia, there's almost nothing left. There's very little. King Carlos knows that. Spain knows that. We had to make a play, and I knew that was risky. And I fully expected the Dutch to show up with the British there and be quite upset, which is why I was glad we had the Portuguese there with us. But, as you can see, the rest of Asia is now either underneath the Qing, who I actually do want to work with, and underneath the Dutch, who we are obviously never going to be friendly with in any capacity, unfortunately. So we kind of made a bit of a risky play there for the region. Also, the agreement was made finally. I negotiated a bit with them in DMs, which you couldn't see. They wanted $3 fucking million for the rest of Aka, which, to put in perspective, the Mexicans bought Texas, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, and California off the Americans for $5 million in this game. So that was absurd. And we negotiated it down to $1 million, which is still pretty high in context, but it's fine. It's pretty fucking high. So we will get the rest of Aka here, which gives us a little bit of territory. Given that Brunei is obviously not under our control anymore, that's a huge issue. But that's kind of rough. We're in the Holy Alliance now too, which I've been negotiating for the last week. I'm really glad that we finally got that. It's a primarily religious alliance, which is why we're getting into it. But it did act as a diplomatic tool to a degree. The Holy Alliance was not really like a centralized heavy alliance, because that wasn't really a thing quite yet. But it was a general agreement to cooperate for conservative values, right? It was a very conservative organization, because Prussia, Austria, and Russia were all really old school, really conservative governments in this time period, and obviously as King Carlos, that fits exactly what we're gonna do. So, and then we're launching the war in Morocco, which I did a post about. Basically, the king announced to continue the Reconquista. We also reestablished the Order of Santiago, which is the major religious order that Spain used historically to fight heathens. So, oh my god, they're gonna rehost. Okay, that's rough. Ake? Ake? Am I saying that right, Frisk? Morocco is a player. Yes, I'll be subjugating him. Which I should go talk to him about. Did he actually show up today? I put a post out and stuff for it. I didn't say the diplomatic play though, did I? Fuck, I might not have. No, I did not. Continue recon. We can go have a talk with him. Is he actually in the game? I think it's... Who is playing... Morocco? Because I looked at the list and I saw him, but I don't think he showed up for the first session unless I'm mistaken. Morocco is Sultan Graham. No, he didn't show up today, which is what I thought. Because I looked around in the VCs for him. What's up, Moscow? Is there one more hour left for the stream, right? Yes, there will be one more hour, 54 minutes, 54 minutes, and then we'll be done for today. He did show up. I didn't see him in any of the VCs. I checked. I will send him a DM just to double check. Because I was going to go talk to him, like, out of RP before this war, and, like, just get us on the same page. Which is that I want to, like, let him, obviously, have complete doing whatever he wants in Morocco, but I want to continue, like, the religious conflict, and I want to, like, slowly force Christianity in the region, at least for a while, until someone does something. You're going to take the state of Riff and make puppet of the rest without the rest talking with him. Where is he? I don't want any territory from him if he's actually in the game. Don't see him. Like that? I think I make that sound right. Ache? Ache? That's my best shot at it. I had a crash at this point in single player testing, and even outright deleting causing files from existence didn't fix it. Scale of 1 to Spain IRL, how fucked are you? Not in a good shape, but it could be worse, to be fair. Alright, there we go. That's what you know. Aksha? Akshay? You know what? How about we do this? I'm just gonna go online and find one of those pronouncer things. Pronouncer. Okay. Here we go. How to pronounce the word.
Pronouncenames.com.
Yeah. Alright, what is it?
Ate.
Atta? Is that right or wrong?
Ate.
Is that right? If y'all can hear that. What, T? That's weird. Atta? Atta? Ate? Hmm. Alright, waiting for the host. Music back on. As a reoccurring crash, yeah. Yep. As a crash or a player's lagging? Because we were still going, I thought. Oh, it is a reoccurring crash. Fuck. Oh boy. Yeah, we might not have a game today. We might have to go bug fix the mod, or the VFM part of the mod, which has been causing all this. I feel the latest version of VFM may not be entirely stable. No, no, I don't think so either. Yeah, it looks like they're calling it. Damn. Yeah, if this is a VFM bug, we're gonna have to go, like, bug fix that mod and figure out what the fuck's wrong with it. They're gonna give it one more try. Damn. VFM is such a good mod. It adds all the flavor that we have, like most of it at least. It's a really good mod. It's just the launch for this update of it was pretty rough. Oh, that'd be a shame. We got our like mountain of Diplo in, so there's that at least. I'm not entirely opposed. I'm exhausted. I was I spent a lot of time last week working on some stuff. I went like 3 nights in a row with like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and then last night I crashed at like 9 p.m. I think. I did that, you know, that thing where you go like, oh, I'm gonna go lay down in bed and rest and then go back and keep working on stuff. I was like in the middle of like finishing the Grand Campaign video that I was gonna release today. And I did the thing where I was like, I'll lay down for 5 minutes. And then I woke up and it was 8 a.m. Fuck. So I'd be happy to go crash again right now, but that does suck. Big games need to be 2 hours of getting host sub. It's just been this one. It's just been this update. It's because of the VFM mod. It's been all of our issues. Every single bug we've had with rehosting and the bugs we've had with this game so far, they've all come down to the VFM mod. And we could cut it in future ones, but I'd really like not to. It's so good. How many years do you manage to have that many people? I'm not sure how many we went today. A good amount. Again, last time we did this with our mod, like we went all the way to 1900 with like 30, 40 people by the end of it. We started with 55. But this time around, it's just been rough. Oh, Chris. It's looking like that may happen, Moscow. Yeah, true. Never say 5 minutes. Absolutely. I'm gonna wait till they formally call it, though. I had fun too. I mean, this game is so fun. That's why I don't care. It says like how, for me at least, it says how much I like these RP games and Vic that like I'm willing to sit through this. And most people aren't. And I get that. But when the gameplay is good, it's worth it. Yeah, Manix, I bet it was. God damn. I apologize for causing you extra hassle in Asia, but the Dutch kept eating shit, and like, there's no way Spain wasn't gonna try and get their hand in that pie. Just saying. Also, fucking acknowledge what you did, you coward. I have a list of 5 items I have to go complain to you about, but I didn't do them today because I don't have the time for it. We have an itemized list of transgressions against the Spanish Empire in the Americas that we'd like to discuss when you're not being overwhelmed by Britain. Just a heads up. It's itemized too. We're very detailed with it. I can promise you that. If you're still here. Egypt tried to keep Jabal Shammar as a tributary even after they gave up Hijaz. Jabal Shammar is landlocked split state with 50,000 people. Damn. Wasn't there a player on one of those? Everyone keeps stealing stuff and annoying me when I take stuff. You mean the Americas? Oh, no, yeah, I thought so. He made Saudi Arabia. Really? I didn't see that. To be fair, I haven't looked at the Middle East like all game, but still. It's kind of been a little prioritized on other things. Britain was everything box here points to trash can. Yeah, but Mannix, don't undersell what the British did. Like, out of RP for a second. I assume you're joking, but my God. I did the research on Spain, dude. What the British did in the Americas to fuck them was so well done. Like, honestly. Like, from a British foreign policy perspective, masterfully done. They destroyed their one historical colonial rival indirectly with no political fallout. I mean, you gotta give respect to the British. They were very good at that shit, man. Like, honestly. My God. They literally got dominion over all the Americas without fighting Spain or the Americans or getting international infamy from it in real life. Like, they did all of that while securing basically all of Central and South America into their trading sphere. That is absolutely fucking wild. Which is what happened. It's kind of crazy. Fucking crazy, man. You gotta respect it. Are they calling it? Oh yeah, they're calling it. All right, we're gonna end stream here. Very unfortunate, another short campaign. I will say, don't get too burnt out on this. I know, like, you know, this is maybe not the most entertaining thing when we're waiting for rehost, but I will say, we will get this dealt with. VFM will fix their bugs at some point, and then we're gonna be rolling. And then we'll get to just enjoy the good stuff for a while. Or, just God willing, one day, Paradox will put some effort into fixing Vic multiplayer. That may also happen. It's possible. So, all right, we'll end for today. Let's go see if there's anyone to raid. Oh, the Cohen's playing Vic E3? Oh yeah, his lead mod was DMing me about that, actually. They were asking, like, how to keep Vic 3 stable. It's like, that's not how that works! I don't really want to raid him, though. He's a big boy. He doesn't need that. Are there any actual Victoria streamers? College? Oh no, he's with Cohen, of course. Shinrir. I've read him before. Any little guys? There's a German dude doing roleplay Victoria 3. He's German though. Is he speaking German? I think he's speaking German. Yeah, he's speaking German. That's unfortunate. Germany actually has a really big roleplay culture with games. I always forget that. It's really cool. Yeah, not really anyone else to raid then. All right, we'll end here. Friday, I will be streaming in the afternoon. I'm going to be running a RimWorld roleplay multiplayer game. Yes, you heard that right. We're going to be doing a RimWorld multiplayer game. It'll be roleplayed out. I'll have a character in that, but also be chasing it. So you might have to see me deal with people and tell them to not be fucking shitheads. But that'll be Friday. We'll continue the grand campaign next Saturday morning. We'll continue this Vic game next Sunday afternoon. I will get those videos out for the mega campaign later this week too as well. So I think that's about it. All right. Have a good rest of your week. Have a good evening. And I will see you all later.